Welcome to the latest edition of Cageside Speaks. My name is 14 Fitzpatrick, and happy holidays and a happy almost new year, because we are now going to talk about a show that really I had to ask people desperately to talk about because, well, it's Roadblock. Very aptly named name for a WWE pay-per-view, as this was a roadblock to the Rumble. And I brought it with me here today two Cagesiders, one returning guest and one new person here to talk about this show. First up, once again, is Chris.
As I said, this is not Roadblock end of the line. This is Roadblock, why God, why? And we will explain why. Well, not why this show happened, but why we're saying why God, why in however long this lasts, because we're going to have a lot to say, and it's probably going to be a lot of yelling.
And joining Chris in the yelling today is longtime Cagesider Curtain Jerker, also for today is known as George.
I hate this show. I hate this company. I hate all these wrestlers. I love SmackDown. Everything else can go to hell.
And we're off to a slam bang start.
Yep. So starting things off, we are going to talk about a segment that I'm going to have words about, but I'm going to let Chris and George here go first in their evisceration of the pre-show match, which we'll just basically talk about the angle. The match itself was 4 minutes long and ended by count out. It was Rusev and Lana, Boris and Natasha versus Big Cass and someone who definitely deserves the Cena bubble, TM trademark things and stuff, Enzo Amore.
Enzo
George,
Amore.
since you are the newcomer here, why don't you go first on this angle?
Okay. Chris, we're going to do a little question and answer, okay?
Awesome. I love it.
We're gonna start with a little question and answer gimmick. Okay. Rusev is married to Lana. True or false?
True.
Okay. So far, so good. Enzo Amore was hitting on, sleazing on, scumming on, coming on Lana. True or false?
True.
Rusev defended his wife's honor from this man who wouldn't take no for an answer.
True, albeit in a rather asshole-ish way, but that's neither here nor there.
Okay, so
they also do that in Bulgaria. That's a Bulgarian tradition, I heard.
It is. I actually don't know if that's true, but it sounds cool.
It sounds true.
Okay. It sounds true. We'll go with it. It's 2016 is the year of fake news. I'm gonna say that's fake news, but whatever. We're gonna go with it. So why is Rusev, the man defending his wife's honor from scumbag Enzo and his giant friend, the bad guy here? What am I missing? Am I missing something?
Because foreigner.
Okay, great. I hate this company.
Mm-hmm.
I hate this company.
Yep.
How do you mess this up?
You have Dewey Foley write the segment?
Oh, man, God, why? Why, God, why?
Yeah.
At least we didn't get the infamous disqualified for kicking too much ass finish that we got on Raw the next night.
I full disclosure, I did not watch the pre-show when the pay-per-view was airing, but I caught this abomination later, and I hate Rusev's gimmick. I hate Rusev and Lana's gimmick, and they need to get repackaged out of it as quickly as freaking possible.
I hate the foreigner gimmick when it's used to get heat in general. I just hate it.
It needs to go away. But this whole angle that they've run, this whole Enzo's going to hit on Lana, Cass is going to try and save him, Rusev is going to defend his wife's honor, and there's going to be a fight out of it because we like to have Haas fights and we want to push Big Cass as a singles competitor.
Good luck with that.
This was not the way to do it.
No, it wasn't.
You've successfully taken one of your most over acts in the company and turned them into disgusting sleazeballs, which are not going to be cheered in 2016. Would they have been cheered in 1997? Oh, of course they would have been cheered in 1997. But it's not fucking 1997 anymore.
No, we know better now. We discussed this with the chair shots.
So fucking get over it already. Yeah, people aren't necessarily going to like foreign heels because, you know, natural xenophobia is still a thing that exists in the United States. Why, I don't know, but it does. But think of something else. Write more intelligently.
You have 30 writers on staff. One of you should be able to figure this out.
There are so many better ways that they could have gotten Cass over as a singles competitor, and how they could have kept Enzo and Cass as a likable and attractive act for the audience to get behind and to be cheering for. Instead, they've turned them into a sleazeball act that half the fans are going to cheer just because they're sleazeballs themselves and enjoy seeing that kind of stuff, and the other half of the audience is going to silently boo because they don't want to see a couple of guys who are acting like assholes win matches.
Wait, you're telling me WWE does 50-50 booking, and I just don't believe you. That never happens. That never. No, I refuse to believe that they half-ass something. That never happens.
They've turned 50-50 booking into how the audience is now going to cheer for people.
Exactly.
They've refined the art of 50-50 booking so well that they can now 50-50 book the audience themselves when they show up to the show without it even being known to the audience. That they're
Except for Roman Reigns. He's still 90-10.
That's
teaser.
a rant for later.
Teaser.
Oh, that's coming. That's coming later. Yeah. But yeah, everything about this angle needs to be murdered in a back alley. This doesn't even need to die. This needs to be murdered in a back alley and forgotten about for the rest of all time.
How about Raw with Steroid Mahal as the fourth guy?
Oh.
Did you see that guy on Raw?
Oh, God.
Oh, no, not Raw. Raw a few days ago, the one in Chicago.
Yeah.
I mean, he's going to the EC3 School of Fitness.
Yeah, and
that's not a good school.
Yeah, I don't even want to talk about how he's been brought into this mix because that just brings about a whole nother angle of xenophobia that we don't need to revisit because this company has been guilty of it so many times. Muhammad Hassan.
Yeah.
So just fucking stop it.
Yeah,
stop it, WWE. This is only the first match. It's not even the first match on the main card. It's the first match it's the pre-show match, and you've already got me saying just stop it.
These competitors deserve better.
Yes.
All four of them. Lana, Rusev, Enzo, and Cass, they all deserve better.
Even Jinder Mahal deserves better because he was brought back to the company and he's been just an irrelevant jobber up until this. He deserves better too because he actually is a competent performer.
He's a good hand.
So just this segment made me want to retch. This angle makes me want to throw my TV out the window. And
we haven't even started the show yet.
And WWE is continuing to just infuriate me at every possible angle that they can for reasons that continue to leave me mystified.
I thought that throwing a TV is a tradition in Brooklyn.
And well, it's a tradition if you're Dean Ambrose, but that's a different story.
Oh God.
Well, he's technically not from Brooklyn. He's from Cincinnati.
No, but he does try to throw TVs and then they blow up in his face. Remember?
And catch up.
Sure.
And catch up.
But he wasn't doing it the proper way. Then you know how to do it the proper way. You're from Brooklyn.
Remember, guys. Before we move on, Dean Ambrose jobbed out to a hologram.
Yeah. And also, I can't throw my TV out the window because the cops are right across the street, and they're going to return it to me along with a nice pair of shiny handcuffs. So we're going to forego that this time.
Still got a long show to go through.
Yeah.
So my thoughts on this angle. I have been a fan of professional wrestling for only a short amount of time. I've been a fan since about 2009, 2010-ish.
Get out while you still can.
I had never, and let's note here, I used to watch TNA fairly regularly during the Mortal era. That's when I got into professional wrestling. These are the adversities that Fizzy has had to deal with getting into professional wrestling as a fan.
So wait, so I don't mean to cut you off. You watched TNA and said I need to watch more wrestling?
Yes. With the sound off. so I didn't hear the annoying commentary of Mike Tenay and Chaz, who had been bribed with his 15th bribe pizza.
Fair point.
Yeah, during the commentary.
Smart.
And trying to figure out what exactly this thing is. Why is this strange mime character beating up this overly tanned old guy with a baseball bat? So,
TNA.
yeah. I mean, trying to figure out all the little pieces, all the characters involved in wrestling. And even though this was being written by Vince Russo, who is a scumbag, and later that it would be written by an even bigger scumbag, Bruce Pritchard, who penned the most infamous angle in Raw history, the Edge and Lita live sex celebration. Sorry to refresh your bad memories there, Chris.
That's as bad as me reminding people about the Trish Stratus barking like a dog thing. There's the things that don't need to be brought back up again.
Remember when the barking like a dog thing was used against Linda when she ran for office twice?
Uh-huh. Yeah, no, because I'm originally from New England and I had to live through that.
Oh, I'm sure. Oh, that's right, because that's the Connecticut media market.
I mean, Rhode Island, we got less of it than, the main state of Connecticut, but we still had to hear about it every single night.
Anyway, I had never felt physically ill during any of those segments. The Enzo, Lana, Rusev bedroom brawl was the first time I'd ever felt physically ill during a segment.
It won't be the last.
No, it won't.
I haven't got a really hearty stomach, for one, and I don't get sick easily. This one did. Like, why? Okay, you have Enzo Amore being a complete sleazebag by going into Lana's hotel room. Lana is wearing the skimpiest red robe that she could possibly find. And they do all of these close-up camera shots, so I'm like, am I sure that I turned on to the USA Network? Am I on the right channel?
Male gaze much, Vince?
Yeah.
Come on now.
I mean, she rips off the guy's shirt, and I'm already nearly puking because, oh my God, hairy Italian guy with tattoos. No.
Hey. As a hairy Greek guy with tattoos, I resent that.
Joey Ryan would resent it too, but I mean, Joey Ryan is...
Speaking of outkicking your coverage, Joey Ryan. But go on, Fizz.
So... that happens, and I go, oh, God, I'm going to be ill. And I had to switch off the TV for, switch to the news for, 5 minutes. And then I turned back in, and there's Rusev beating up Enzo Amore with a vase. And then he beat him up with, a glass painting. And I'm thinking, who's the face here? The man who's defending his wife? Who he met online, who have now decided to do this partnership here. While, I mean, the thing that would have probably saved the segment if Rusev dragged Enzo into Lana's special room where she began to read off her 5,000 pages of Vladimir Putin fan fiction, which is considered as torture in most parts of the world.
Vince is saving that segment for, the night after the Rumble.
Remember when Rusev was a hero of the Russian Federation?
Yeah, they had to can that because of the political climate in America.
Yeah, that's too bad. He came out in a tank and jobbed.
Even that still just goes back to what I was saying. They both need a new fucking gimmick because this is it's so played out now. We're going on now our third year. We're entering our third year of Rusev as angry foreigner that hates the United States and Lana is his hot wife. So fucking what?
Yeah, he needs something new.
He's a great competitor.
Anything new. He's awesome. He's so underused.
I won't take away from him that he's a good in-ring competitor, but just fucking give the guy something else to do.
Yeah, he's a good in-ring competitor. He's a charismatic promo. He's got a presence. He deserves better. In fact, you know what? Your theme is Why God Why. My theme is so-and-so deserves better.
Mm-hmm.
Because that's all you could say about this show and about Raw at the moment is that these guys and ladies, they deserve better.
Yeah.
I mean, now Cass, who is a character that I feel sympathy for, is now stuck with a tainted Enzo Amore, who is this total sleazebag who's hitting on anything that has a pulse.
And let's not also forget that they're showing Enzo's ass and the giant bruise he has on social media as if that's supposed to gain him sympathy. It's like, who fucking cares?
You deserve it.
Not only does he deserve it, but why should we be even invested in this injury that he got while he was getting beaten up? So what? You know, it's not like people haven't suffered worse. I mean, you don't even have to go back to just a year ago. Fucking John Cena with a broken nose. That made me care for Cena. I mean, granted, more so because it was an accidental injury, but that was fucking ugly as sin.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, look, he's got a bruise on his ass. I don't know if it's supposed to be for comedic value or if it's supposed to make me feel sympathy for him. Either way, I don't care anymore.
I don't care. I've given up. I'm tapping out on this whole thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not like it's not like he's Finn Balor with the injured arm, you know, that he suffered at SummerSlam.
Mhm.
You know, this is just a
For Finn
shot.
I've been through that. And it sucks.
Oh, I imagine.
Yeah. Dislocated shoulders are the worst, the second worst thing that you can deal with in terms of injuries.
What's the worst?
ACL tear.
Oh, yeah.
I've been through that too. Yeah, I've suffered through both Seth Rollins' major injury and Finn Balor's major injury. So I do feel sympathy for both of them for knowing what they have gone through.
Oh my god! Just like this is the way they're trying to build up sympathy for Enzo. I'm like, no,
nope.
And he's cutting all of these sexist, sleazy promos, like how he's a certified G, even though he got beaten up in a hotel room by a very angry Bulgarian.
Yeah,
you know, this is our babyface.
Yeah,
Mr.
he's a good guy.
This guy with the mohawk and the tattoos, you know, and the ring tights with the is that like the that emoji that just like sickens me. I'm like, why are you wearing that? No,
he had the poop emoji one time. Remember that?
Mm-hmm. No, he's continued wearing that.
Yeah, he's still wearing it.
Yeah, like these are not signs that this guy is a babyface. This guy is a disgusting heel that makes all other heels walk in the other direction when he's walking down a hallway.
It's like honestly, this heel is the reason why WWE doesn't do heel versus heel feuds, because you've got the guy who's being portrayed as a heel versus the guy who is actually a heel. Nobody likes the character of the actual heel, and nobody likes the character of the guy who's being portrayed as the heel. So there's zero interest.
Yeah, and then you also have the problem there is also, even though Cass is kind of a victim in this angle, he's the guy that started this by locking Enzo out of the locker room.
Yep. Hoisted on his own petard.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yep. Now he's got an angry Bulgarian who wants to beat him up, and his best friend, and now he's got all these problems he's got to worry about because he decided to play this prank on Enzo.
And he still can't cut a promo, but that's a different problem.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I mean, I like Big Cass.
So do I.
It's just, unfortunately, he's stuck in a position where, you know, he got noticed by Vince. He's a big 7-foot tall guy.
And you can't teach that.
You can't teach that.
You can teach that. It's called hormones, but that's a different story.
But yeah, just the entire way that this segment was laid out just didn't work. And now, unfortunately, Jinder Mahal's been dragged into this, as you guys said. Oh, God. I know Jinder needs something to do, but I'm not sure this is the angle for him.
Yeah, no, it's not. It's absolutely not. Because if you want, if you want the company to continue friggin' promoting this whole idea of xenophobia and, you know, long live America in the current political climate, then sure, keep going with this. But just if you want to actually promote WWE as being a progressive company that's forward thinking and, you know, wants to portray a good, positive PR image, then fucking kill this angle with fire and brimstone.
Fire and Kane. Fire and brimstone and Kane.
Kane's on SmackDown. They can't use him.
Okay, fire and brimstone and napalm. Fuck the torpedoes, kill it with napalm.
Just 6 feet under this. This is just horrible.
Is it progressive?
Can we move on?
Let's move on, please.
one last question. Is it progressive or xenophobic, or if Jinder Mahal chucks curry powder in Enzo Amore's eyes?
I don't even want to answer that question.
I'm not dignifying that.
No.
Okay.
Because I don't want the off chance that one of the 40 members of creative is listening to this and says, "Hey guys, that's a great idea. Somebody go buy some curry powder and give it to Jinder, and you can throw it in the eyes like he's the great Muda."
Yeah, or Tajiri, he'll spit it at the guy.
Yeah, exactly. Just
This
on the
is
off chance anyone important is listening, that's a bad idea.
Don't do it.
That's bad.
Resist the temptation.
Yeah.
Please.
Well, they weren't able to resist the temptation in this next segment. Well, the New Day had a 483 tag team run. And then they lost to the bickering couple, Cesaro and Sheamus.
This match was great. I can't hate this match.
Mm-hmm.
The end with the fake tag to eat the Trouble in Paradise, only to get the pin, but it wasn't a pin. I thought it was a botch. I'm like, he didn't tag him. What the hell? But then I'm watching. I'm like, oh, all right. This is great. Cesaro is great. Sheamus has great music. More of this. This is fine. I'm just now that the New Day broke the streak finally, we can finally move on with our stories in the tag team division. We can finally go somewhere. They can finally turn heel or not. They can finally progress as people, as a character, as a gimmick, or not. Do they turn full blown heel? Do they not? I mean, does it matter? Does it matter? Does it matter? Like, there's so many groups that are just an entrance. Them, Enzo and Cass, you know. So I don't know. Eva Marie.
Whenever the hell she decides to come back.
Emelina, whenever the hell she comes back. Like, I don't know. This match was good. I enjoyed this match. This may be my favorite match on the card, to be honest with you. In fact, it is my favorite match on the card. This was a good match. More of this, please.
Yeah, this was a really enjoyable match with a surprise finish, but just
Original
it ended.
finish.
Yeah, it was like, but the thing is now the belts are stuck on Cesaro and Sheamus after this 483 long day tag team run, and there was a little bit of backlash about it. Not much, you know. People kind of were upset that okay, New Day broke the record, but at the same time, they and Banks lost the belts at this show. Mm-hmm. So that kind of gave a little bit of backlash there. So what were your thoughts on this match and the state of the tag division at this point, Chris?
I liked the match. I liked the finish of the match. I thought that it was extremely well executed. I am a little bit mystified as to why they would have New Day lose in their very first defense after breaking the record, even though I can understand why they did it. I still think that it's a bad look for New Day's future because they, you know, now it makes them look like idiots for breaking the record. And then as soon as they broke the record, now they can't win a match. It's like that's a bad look for them going forward, but that's neither here nor there. My problem with this is the fact that even though they've won the titles, they're still continuing to make Sheamus and Cesaro out to be this odd couple pairing that can't get along and is, you know, constantly fighting and all this other crap. It's like Sheamus taking both the belts and posing with both the belts. It's like, I can tell what you're doing, WWE. I'm not dumb. I can see you trying to recreate Team Hell No and trying to recapture that lightning in a bottle that you had with Daniel Bryan and Kane. And you're not going to fucking do it. Sheamus is a serviceable promo at best. Cesaro.
Serviceble's high.
Serviceable promo at best. Neither of them are going to be able to ignite the crowd and draw the crowd in with their words in the way that Daniel Bryan and Kane were. Neither of them are going to be able to do that. They're both good or great in ring. Like, Sheamus is good in the ring. Cesaro is great in the ring. But neither of them are going to be able to do what Daniel Bryan and Kane did. You ran that trick once. Stop trying to do it again. This is just the problem with WWE that I've been saying now for the past 2 years, is that everything that they're doing is just trying to recapture the magic of things that worked in the recent past that they just want to do again because they're lazy and they don't want to try and write new stuff. They want to have people, cheer for the stuff that they were cheering for again, but just with different people attached to the gimmicks. And that's not how that works. You need to do fresh stuff. And Sheamus and Cesaro as a tag team, as an odd couple tag team that's going to continue bickering with each other, that doesn't work. I really thought that they were going to move away from that when they did that whole barroom segment. And that was good. The end of that barroom segment where they shared a drink and were, congratulating each other for their domination of a bunch of random civilians, in spite of the, hollow victory that might be. I thought that was good. I thought that was the start of a good chemistry between the two of them. And I thought that they could develop that into a tag team that we could actually really cheer for and give us a team that we can care about, who will eventually down the line lose the titles to the club, because that's really the only logical way that this is going to go. Let's be honest. So I thought that they could maybe do that, but instead it's just like, nope, back to bickering like an old couple because we can do that. And I'm once again left throwing my hands up in the air and saying, fine, I don't care anymore. Do what you're going to do. Give me something better in a month whenever you decide to introduce new players into the title scene. And it hasn't gone anywhere. Yeah, they've got fancy new belts that are red versions of the SmackDown tag team titles. Hooray. And we care why? I mean, and that's really the thing. Is they had us with that best of 7 series. They really had us invested because everybody wanted to see a Cesaro redemption story. Everyone wanted to see Cesaro finally win something big and have a big, impactful forward progression move in his career. Instead, we have him on a tag team where he is once again won the tag team titles. Great, but there's no forward progression. There's nothing that signifies Cesaro's moving up the card. Cesaro's moving into a phase of his career where he will be a main event player, or at least an upper mid-card player. He's still firmly entrenched in the mid-card and still attached to the charisma vacuum that is Sheamus. So what are we doing? What are we doing here? Claudio Castagnoli's got to be fucking sick to death at this point that his WWE career has just been in a freaking holding pattern for 3 years now. This is shameful. This is absolutely shameful that a performer of his caliber is being wasted like this, and that they're basically paying lip service to the idea that he's going to, move up and be a more important player in the company. That's all this is. Giving him a tag team title run as lip service to that, to that promise, and it's just a waste of time for those of us who are fans of Cesaro and fans of what he can do. So I fail to see why I should be caring about a tag team title run for Cesaro with someone who I really don't have a reason to like, and especially when their gimmick is something that's not worth my time, not worth paying attention to. Give me something better.
A pale version of Birdie from the Street Fighter series?
Sure. Sure. You know what? That's a complete change.
Something.
Let's do that.
It's something.
It's something. Yes.
You know what the problem with this company is? I'm going to talk big picture.
Which one?
The capital T, capital H, capital E. The biggest problem with this company is, I'm going to start big picture, and then I'm going to work a little small scale based on what you just said. The biggest problem with this company is that they only know how to tell one story.
Yeah.
So-and-so is fighting back against the boss. Right? It's been 20 motherfucking years of that story. Stop with that story. Read a book. Right? There's lots of them out there. Buy something by Joseph Campbell or some author who teaches you how to write, and stop telling the same stories over and over and over again. Because they're not going to work. You got lucky with Steve Austin that WCW was breathtakingly stupid. You got lucky with Daniel Bryan. And he's Daniel Bryan.
So fucking lucky that
right?
went on the way it did.
Yeah. You got lucky that Michigan State won the Rose Bowl Otherwise, the Yes chants wouldn't have gotten any mainstream attention. Remember that?
Mm-hmm.
Right? Remember when that was a thing for a little while?
Mm-hmm.
And WWE said, "Oh my God, we may have something here with this 5'8" guy.
Let's
see what happens."
A token title run, because
Yeah,
we all know they were planning to take the title off him and give it back to Cena anyway.
Yeah,
So,
let's see what happens. Oh, this may work. People like this guy.
Nope.
You know?
Nope.
Stop telling the same stories over and over and over.
Especially
There's
when
lots
it
of
fails
stories out there.
miserably.
When it doesn't work over and over and over. And then you say to yourself, it must be the performers. No, dumbass. It's you.
I present to you Exhibit A, Reigns, Roman. It doesn't work with everybody.
Doesn't work with everybody. No. Now, I'm gonna disagree with you to a point on Cesaro. Sheamus is a disaster. He deserves better theme than Sheamus, but I don't really know if Cesaro deserves that much better than where he is right now. He can't really talk, and that matters in WWE.
Oh, yeah, it does.
It doesn't matter as much as it used to, because case in point, AJ Styles, right? It doesn't matter as much as it did 5 or 10 years ago, but it still matters, and he's pretty bad at it.
Well, I think that, just as a counterpoint to that, I think that the problem that Cesaro has, the same thing as half the rest of the roster has, is that he's scripted so heavily that he can't, deliver what he's supposed to, because he has to remember his freaking lines.
Sure.
If that wasn't a constant thing that he and most of the rest of the roster had to deal with, I think that he would be a lot better connecting with the crowd. But that's just me. I couldn't.
No, you're right there. And I can't believe I'm quoting this guy. As Donald Rumsfeld once said, "You go to war with the army you have, not the army you want."
Yeah.
Scripted promos are the army we have. They're not going away. At this point, we might as well rail about the sun rising in the east. I mean, barring a massive systemic change in how this company decides to present its product, we're getting scripted promos. And it's up to the performer to a degree to make the most of it. I think Cesaro is perfectly fine where he is. I think he is a tag team guy, a USA title guy, a guy who every now and again can bump up to the main event scene for a 2-3 pay-per-view run to put the champ over. I think he's fine. People always vote for him as the most underrated in the Observer Awards because he's not pushed enough. I think he's pretty close to the ceiling as to where he should be. He's not a main eventer, a long-term main eventer, in my view. He's just not.
You're basically saying that he is a functional Swiss clock.
Yeah.
It works. It's interesting to look at, but it's just there.
Yeah. I'm trying to think of an example. You know what he is? He's Bam Bam Bigelow. He can maybe main event the pay-per-view or two. Not WrestleMania, but that was a special circumstance. He can main event a pay-per-view or two. He can hold his own against a good, credible champ and give the guy some shine. But under I don't ever see him winning the main title, even in this brand split era. I just don't see it. He's awesome in the ring. He's awesome doing media. They've given up on him. They put him with Paul Heyman, and it went nowhere.
That was also I think I don't disagree with you. I also think that the Paul Heyman thing was just a disaster from the beginning because they were using that exclusively to push Brock. Every single Heyman promo that he came out to do was like, my client Brock Lesnar is the one that beat the one, is the one in 21-1, and this is my other client Cesaro.
Yay!
It's like, okay, why do we care about this other guy when your main client is the guy that beat the Undertaker at WrestleMania? Why should we care about the other dude?
It's Brock Lesnar and this Swiss guy.
They also never had Cesaro come out with Brock to kind of transfer some of the aura or the mystique. I mean, who knows if that actually would have happened, but I mean, they never put them together for anything. It wasn't like when Heyman was running with Curtis Axel and Ryback, where he had them together all the time. Different way to run Paul Heyman.
That reminds me. You know who Cesaro is? He's the anti JBL. You know how JBL was all talk and no work?
Mm-hmm.
Cesaro is all work and no talk. And you know how JBL got a token run at the end? I mean, he was the champ for a year and then put Cena over huge, right? Mm-hmm. But he, for most of his career, was a tag team guy or an upper mid-card singles guy until they had a brand split and injuries. And they said, JBL may work.
Mm-hmm.
That's
Yeah,
exactly the role Cesaro has.
You
Or
couldn't,
should have.
you couldn't have him with Simmons forever, you know.
No, that's exactly. You know what? Nice job, Curtin Jerker. I'm proud of that analogy. He's the anti JBL.
Yeah.
Now don't expect to get a year-long run with the belt, because that was probably 9 months too long for JBL. Although it did make Cena, so maybe they knew what they were doing. But knowing this company, they probably just lucked into it.
Yeah.
So he is pretty much where he needs to be right now. Now, get him away from Sheamus. Get him away from this bickering tag team crap.
Yeah.
Learn a new story. Tell a different story.
Yes.
And split the New Day up already. It's been 2 years.
I don't know about that. I mean, personally for me, I mean, my inner Mark wants to see Kofi Kingston get one world title win.
Oh, that'd be
before
so
he
nice.
retires. And I don't think he does that without the New Day, because the New Day needs to stay together for them to continue to be over as a group like they are.
True. That's a good point.
But I will agree that, yeah, it's probably time for them to start doing other things.
Yeah,
If we want to have them like running together as a squad like the Shield was, but they pursue different ventures. Like if you put Big E in the U.S. or Intercontinental title scene and have Kofi and Woods run as a tag team, or have Kofi run for the world title and have Big E and Woods run as a tag team, any of those things. You can do any of those things. Or even have Kofi and Big E both pursuing singles titles with Woods as the manager that keeps the group together. Any of those things work, but they need to take a step away from the tag title scene, because we need to build up some other performers, because it's been a problem for 8-9 months now. There's no competition for it.
Also, are you a big New Japan guy, Chris?
I'm starting to be.
Okay. Take it from me. Carl Anderson used to be really good in New Japan.
Oh, I know. I've seen a lot of the old Bullet Club stuff. Yeah.
I'm not quite sure what happened to that Carl Anderson. He's nowhere near as good now. I'm talking just in ring, not setting aside his horrible character and promo. It's like he left his talent in Tokyo. He's nowhere near as good in ring now, and that's a problem. That's on him. He's got to step it up. His wrestling is passable, and he's going to be the worker of that team, and he's got to be the worker of that team in order for him to get anywhere.
Yeah, because
Gallows destroying bears
is damn near immobile in the ring. He's good as an intimidating big man. But he's not going to be, putting together any technical masterpieces.
He's not bumping anytime soon. Yeah. Anderson needs to step it up. So that's my mini rant on Carl Anderson. Carl, step it up. Yeah. Stop being bad.
And I think a lot of that might be he might be half-assing it because of the fact that he realizes we signed this great WWE contract and they've made us look like idiots for the past 9 months.
Yeah, but this is
they have
big time. They have.
They have made they brought them in with the biggest fucking fanfare in the world. Had them destroy the Usos the first night that they came in and spend a month destroying the rest of the tag team division, and no payoff. Absolutely nothing, because they were so dead set on having the New Day be the team that broke the record because they were the only team that was over. It's like, instead of building another pair of stars, they are just like, we're just going to stick with what pops the crowd for, this week. And, thank goodness it keeps popping the crowd week after week after week, because if they had kept them, if that stopped working at any point during the past 6 months, if people decided that they were getting tired of New Day and stopped cheering for them at any point during the past 6 months before they broke the record, it would have been a fucking disaster, because there was nobody that was ready to take the titles off of New Day. There was nobody who was in a position to take the titles and take the heat from New Day as being the champions. It would have been just an absolute nightmare. As it is, it already is a nightmare, because the tag team who has the titles now is not going to be, maintaining that kind of investment from the crowd that New Day has. So it's absolutely just a mess already. It just hasn't quite been revealed to be how big of a mess it's going to be.
Who knows? Maybe if they give Cesaro an ill-fitting lawn gnome cap on his head, it might get over. But
he can go back to yodeling.
Or being a rugby player that was supposedly so violent that they didn't want him to do rugby anymore.
You know what? If you're gonna do that, might as well just have Becky Lynch go back to doing Irish line dancing too, because that's how dumb of an idea that is.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh my
I hate
lord!
this company.
So, after the tag match, we had probably the most infuriating segment that isn't the next 3 out of the 5 matches with Sami Zayn
That's a hell of a
versus the main event, Braun Strowman.
Big tits,
the
McDoobie
mountain of a
face.
man, Braun Strowman. I've heard that phrase about 100,000 times, and I can't enjoy it.
Going into this was the match I was most excited for. Seriously, of all of them, I said this match is going to be good. I am a Braun Strowman fan.
Yeah, me too.
I have gone 180 on the guy. He's great.
Yeah.
You know what? Big guys who beat the crap out of people is great.
And who can talk well too.
And he can. And he has a presence, and he has a look, and he's physical, and he's charismatic, and he's everything you want in your just giant monster.
Mm-hmm.
You know what this match should have been? This match should have been one of two things. Either Sami Zayn beats him somehow, and I don't mean time limit draw bullshit. I mean beats him.
Actually pins him or submits.
Pins him or makes him submit somehow. And you make Sami Zayn the monster killer, and you strap a rocket on his ass. Or this match should have been 2 minutes, and Braun should have just demolished him. But you know what? This fucking company loves to half-ass everything.
They were trying so hard to both not alienate Sami Zayn's fans who want him to actually be a, interesting player on the roster, but also keep Braun Strowman, high for his eventual main event push, which is happening now. So they went right down the middle with the weakest ass finish that they possibly could have done and called it a win for Sami rather than calling it what it was, which was a draw.
Sami Zayn didn't lose, so he won, and Braun Strowman didn't win, so he lost, or something.
Because it makes sense. No, it doesn't.
Look, if you're gonna do this match, have Braun just destroy Sami.
Yeah.
Not do Kazuchika Okada Rainmaker lariats and gas himself after 4 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, just maul him. Have color, real color, not Sami Zayn, and because Sami Zayn is the best seller in the world.
Mm-hmm.
Right? He's great at selling. Have him just get destroyed. When they cut to the crowd, instead of people looking bored, people are concerned.
Yeah.
Right? But instead, this damn company half-assed it.
Yeah.
It would have made Braun look like a damn threat.
Yeah. And instead,
And we haven't even talked about Foley yet.
We're
getting to
we're
Foley.
I'm not doing that again.
Okay. Oh, no, you're not going to do it this time. If you don't want to do it, that's fine. I got words about the Foley, Sami.
I got 2 more points, and the floor is yours.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So Foley comes out, right? And obviously they built it in because poor Braun was going to have a coronary in the ring if he had to go for another 3 minutes.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. So Sami begs Foley not to throw in the towel, right? There was about 14 different levels. This makes no sense. You know why? Because the week before, the climax of the angle was that Foley only pretended to care about Sami's health because he wanted Sami Zayn mad. Now he actually cares about Sami Zayn's health?
The back and forth of that.
Like, come on.
1 week he's stopping a match because Sami can't compete. The next week he's pretending to trade him to SmackDown so we can get him fired up. And then he's gonna stop the match again to prevent Sami from dying. It's like, make up your fucking mind.
I was at Raw last week, or 3 days ago, in Chicago. Okay, the 2 most over people on Monday Night Raw was CM Punk and Braun Strowman. When they had the segments where they had the Bo Leave and make Darren Young great and that little geek lower card match, and Braun came out with the Christmas tree and threw it at the guy, and then it went to commercial. You remember that segment from Monday?
Yes.
as the Lord above is my witness, during that entire commercial break, the entire arena stood and chanted Strowman, Strowman, over and over and over for 3 minutes till they aired back in the ring. The only guy on that damn show who was over was Braun Strowman.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, he beat up Darren Young and Bo Dallas with a Christmas tree.
This isn't hard. What are you protecting Sami Zayn for? If anyone on the roster can take a loss versus a guy 3 times his size, it's Sami Zayn. He'll be fine.
Mm-hmm.
But they,
I mean, if they're not going to use him, if they're not going to use him for something good like that, put him on fucking SmackDown. Just fucking do it. Just put him on SmackDown.
Yeah,
Because
I mean,
this is abysmal.
Sammy deserves better.
Yes.
Right? It wasn't that long ago that he was in the WWE Match of the Year.
Mm-hmm.
Right? And it wasn't that long ago where grown men were cheering and hugging each other when he beat Neville for the NXT title.
And in between that, he put on a hell of a match versus John fucking Cena for the U.S. title. This guy can work. This guy can perform.
So
He's
either
proven it.
One of this needs to have been one of two things: either Sammy wins or Sammy loses,
and in horrible fashion too. No.
Yeah, either Sammy wins or he gets destroyed. One or the other. But instead, they decided to 50-50 it because this feud must continue.
And Braun must eventually look like the Giant for, whoever they want as their next big babyface to knock down because, that makes stars. No,
Roman Reigns at WrestleMania.
Oh, my God. I don't even want to think about that.
It's coming. You know it's coming.
I have to save it. I have to save it for the main event match.
Get yourself mentally ready now. We're getting.
I'm restraining myself from letting the outburst happen now. So believe me, I'm ready.
I don't understand this company's desire to make everybody. You know what happens when you make everybody look good? You make nobody look good.
Yeah.
Right.
That's the principle of like any competition. When everybody wins, nobody wins.
Exactly.
That is the problem that WWE has been just running in circles around for all this time, and they refuse to actually stop and say, "Wow, we're not doing anything worthwhile."
No, and related news: nobody's watching our product, except for us hardcores.
Yeah.
Well, I am finally because my satellite's working.
Yeah.
Poor bastard.
Oh no, I like watching Raw.
I like watching Raw when I can comment about it with other people.
So yeah, as I was saying earlier, I really, really did not like that end segment with before this match between Sammy and Foley cutting that promo because here you have Sami Zayn being demanding again when he is in a position of, okay, you got beaten half to death by Strowman a couple weeks ago. You're not in a bargaining position here, buddy. You are a guy that is trying to take on a man who is, as they say, a mountain of a man because the mountain moves because he is his own zip code.
I don't even want to hear that phrase "mountain of a man" ever again.
Get used to it.
I'm glad that they finally switched to something else, but seriously, like every time Cole said that, I just was like, nope, not invested anymore. You've taken me out of my enjoyment of Strowman for the next 30 seconds because you keep using this idiotic catchphrase. People don't need catchphrases and subtitles. They don't need them. Just stop giving them these freaking like extra things that are supposed to get people interested in the character. We don't need to be told he's a mountain of a man. We can all see it. He's 6'8". He's 385 pounds. We're not freaking, oblivious.
Or blind.
Or blind.
Anyway,
continue.
Why did Foley feel the need to try and make Sami Zayn mad? Sami Zayn is already angry that he got beaten half to death by Strowman. So the motivation for the fake contract, and then Sami has to insult everybody on SmackDown by saying, "I'm better than 10,000 Eva Maries." Eva Marie gets a reaction, buddy. You haven't lately.
No.
Okay. How dare you insult the Red Queen or Black Queen? All hail.
She actually put out a hilarious tweet saying, "I'm not even on the show, and I'm getting all the attention after that segment happened." And I'm like, "Yeah, because you deserved more attention than that whole segment did. Well done, Eva, for being able to get a reaction on the show that she's not even on."
And it makes you, additionally, this arrogant attitude that they still haven't fixed about Sammy's character since NXT makes you want to cheer for the man who's uprooting a Christmas tree and beating Bo Dallas half to death with it.
That was awesome. That was the best part of Raw. That was so good.
Okay, the man who is 6'8", 385 pounds, as Chris said, is not the face in the situation. He's supposed to be the heel.
He's my face.
I know.
y'all are wrong here. He is my face. I am Team Braun.
You know what? This is one where I can actually agree. You know, I've never been on board for everybody saying Rusev is a face, but this is one I can go with. Braun is a face. I will cheer the fuck. I will cheer
because you know what? Sami Zayn kept poking and poking and poking, and Braun said, "You know what? Fuck you and die. I'm going to kill you now."
Roar!
I need to make that my alarm clock. By the way,
yeah,
just Braun yelling.
That would be perfect.
Yeah,
I'm all in for that.
Yeah. You need to make that your phone ringtone, the roar that Braun does in his theme song.
Best thing ever.
Oh, it's
best thing ever.
He is #1 on my most improved ballot for the Wrestling Observer. Actually, I think he's #2 behind Charlotte because Charlotte's been a phenomenon this year. Charlotte's we'll talk about her in a minute. But Braun is just he makes me feel like a little kid. He's like it makes me feel like I felt when I watched Vader when I was 7 or whatever the hell old I was.
He's the one guy on this roster that is figured out on the Raw side of the brand split to take opportunity and go, I'm this big, scary dude. Let's use that.
Yes.
And I'm the one big, scary dude on this roster because the other big, scary dude, 7-foot-tall Cass, is a face. And Big Show's preparing for a match with Shaq at WrestleMania. So
by his probable retirement.
Yeah, for his probable retirement. So I'm the one big guy on this roster. Yeah. I can steamroll over everybody.
And you know what? This is where them signing indie flippy guys looks good because he looks so much bigger than they do.
Yeah.
You know? Like 10 years ago, he's just another big guy in the world, you know, in the WWF back
world
then.
Of big guys.
Yeah, now he's like this monster.
Yeah.
Because he's so much bigger than all these little indie flippy boys.
Yeah. I mean, until they signed Matanza, but that's an entirely different story. Oh, I'm sorry. Jeff Cobb. Matanza is the vessel of a god. Doesn't exist in our world.
No. Jeff Cobb is awesome, by the way. I saw Jeff Cobb versus Matt Riddle at AEW, and it was so good.
Oh, my God. Jeff Cobb is... He's
unbelievable.
He's going to be one of the best in the world.
He's already one of the best in the world. Just wait till they ruin him. Oh, wait.
Yeah, can't wait.
God. Aren't you excited?
Fuck this company.
Christmas jingle now available now.
What did CM Punk?
I'm going to record that in 19 different tunes.
What did CM Punk say? Millionaires who should be billionaires?
Yeah.
Right? I mean,
yeah, he said that.
Millionaires who should be billionaires. Like,
but like the sympathy now. Suddenly, Sammy. I was going to be able to beat him if Mick hadn't interfered.
Oh, speaking of, why wasn't there a count out?
I'm not sure. Either the ref was afraid he was going to be eaten alive by Braun or kicked in the face by Sammy.
Those are both valid answers. Those are valid answers.
Or he could. It's possible he could have been waiting to see what Foley was going to do, like waiting for instruction from your boss. That kind of makes sense, but even still, that's a cheap cop out. I'll call it right now. What I just said is a cheap cop out for the fact that there wasn't a count out.
Yeah, it went to a draw.
Oh God, what's wrong with me?
I hate this show.
It went to a draw, you know, and it also features heavily Mick Foley, which is like the death sentence to any segment right now.
Yeah,
he's the most unlike. He's worse than Steph. At least Steph has charisma.
I think that they're trying to make that intentional. They're trying to make Mick Foley
a good job.
They're trying to make Mick Foley this corrupted legend who is now subservient to this demon queen, who's waiting for her husband to return from whatever Lazarus pit she just chucked him in after WrestleMania, you know, to resume their evil control of the company. And, you know, the problem is Mick is so unlikable now that it's hard now for Stephanie to be seen as the heel.
Yeah, everything about Mick Foley's role on Monday Night Raw at this point is
a waste,
a colossal waste.
I like him basically angling to be fired on Instagram.
Yeah, and honestly, I've said this since the beginning. I actually wrote a whole fan post about how they could have done this authority figure angle better by having it be JBL instead of Foley, because you know, at the time I thought, oh, they're bringing in Foley just for cheap pops because he's, you know, because he's a legend and because he's got legacy and everything else. And like and at the time that's what it seemed like. Long-term storytelling now, I can see that there's something to this, but the amount of time it's taking, it's so convoluted that it doesn't even fucking matter now. They've just made Foley into a joke and he's not even worth paying attention to anymore.
No, I will have to read this fan post. I'm a big JBL guy. I love JBL.
It's from a while back, but yeah, I mean, that would have been so much better because JBL very easily traverses the line of being heel and face, that you could very easily put him in a situation where he's going against Steph and, you know, advocating for the performers without it being an absolute shit fist like it is every time Foley starts yelling. Because every time Foley starts yelling, I have to mute the TV now because I can't take it anymore. I just can't.
No.
It's like the first time, like even the very first time it happened, like with that whole blow up between him, Sheamus, and Cesaro, I was like, I can't take this fucking seriously. This is a joke. There's nothing to this.
You know what it is?
Ridiculous.
We talked about this earlier. It's the chair shots. He is a broke. He's a. I'm not being trivial. He is a broken down old man.
Yeah.
Remember when he got the name of the city wrong?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
He is a broken down old man.
It was. He's not the right person to be in this position of constant attention.
No, he's not. You know who is? Find someone on NXT who's hurt. Put Austin Aries in that role.
Yeah.
Put someone you want to make a star in that role. Why not?
Yeah.
Why not
I mean, they're doing a great job with Aries on 205 Live as part of the commentary team. People are like genuinely interested in that.
There's got to be someone in the Performance Center who can't work, but is awesome on the stick.
Mm-hmm.
Who's 25 or 30 or 35 or whatever, who has no future as an in-ring competitor for whatever reason. Put them on it.
You know who that is? Corey Graves.
Sure. Fine.
And speaking of Corey Graves, he sent out the most hilarious tweet that I have to mention because it's topical. He sent out a tweet today that said, I sent my Christmas tree back to the wild today. And by that, I mean I threw it out into the forest Strowman style. Or something to that effect. I'm like, Corey Graves, you are a treasure.
I want Braun to carry the tree from town to town and just beat people with it, even if it's like March or April.
Yeah.
Don't care. Just how about just holiday decorations? Well, no matter what the holiday is.
He comes out
to July, he can use a big American flag. I don't care. I just want him to just beat people with decorations.
He comes out to the ring, he sets the tree down, he picks them up and throws them into it like he did with Sin Cara.
That was amazing. Everything. He's great.
Yeah.
But you know what? I don't even care anymore. Put the damn belt on Braun. It can't get worse.
I mean, at least now we will get the wonderful, glorious visage of him punting Seth Rollins like a football in the highlight reels.
You know what? I'd rather have Braun than Owens as my champ right now.
Yeah, but let's
we'll get to that
Yeah,
next.
We'll
get to that.
We're saving it so bad. We're even worse than WWE right now.
Next up is the third longest match on this show, barring the 34-minute Iron Woman match and the 23-minute long main event, is a 17-minute and 5-second match between Boo Boo, Chris Jericho and his list, and Seth Rollins. Now, as some of you on Speaks may be aware, I have a phenomenal hatred of Seth Rollins for various obvious, legitimate reasons.
Do tell.
And, well, the issues of him injuring performers, the affair, the sending out his small package to the main WWE website via his Twitter feed, his relationship with Zara Scriber, who turned out to be a Nazi sympathizer, all that.
Who amongst us hasn't dated a Nazi sympathizer?
I haven't.
I mean, let him who is without the same casket for a stone or whatever here. I mean, come on.
Okay, I'm gonna go outside and find a pile of rocks. Hang on. I'll be back.
But ironically enough, Rollins was not the worst part of this match, apart from having to be so long in the ring with Jericho. Chris Jericho has made me start to like slightly, and I mean by a 1 percentile, Seth Rollins a little more, because Chris Jericho just drags everyone down who is younger than he is, who is flippy, who is athletic. He thinks, oh, well, this is 1990s all over again. I'll do the same flips I did before. Oh, my back!
Yeah, I said this back in I don't remember if it was March or April, but he had a match with Sami Zayn, and it was the worst Sami Zayn match I've ever seen because he was working at half speed.
That's a lie.
Oh no! It wasn't Sami Zayn. It was Neville. He was working a match against Neville, and Neville was working half speed.
Is that the one where Neville broke his leg?
No. It was the week before Neville broke his leg. They had a match the week before, and Neville looked like shit in that match, and I was like, why the fuck does Neville look bad? Oh, right. It's because he has to work half speed in order to make Jericho look even plausible in the ring. And it's fucking... I know he's a key part of Monday Night Raw. I know he's got a big role right now, but just stop putting him in the ring. He's hurting everybody he's with, and not in a physical sense like Seth Rollins has been known to do in the past. I'm talking just image-wise. Everybody who works against him comes out of it after the match looking worse because they have to work at less than their usual work weight in order to make Jericho seem like a credible opponent. It's not doing anything for anybody. I'm terrified.
He has nothing left.
I'm terrified of what's going to happen when he has to work a match against Owens, because Owens. Owens has been fucking phoning it in for a few months now. But the two of them in a ring that's going to be
it's be 25 minutes of death.
At this point, that's just going to be like, okay, I'm going to take a nap.
I mean, God.
The best worker in that match is going to be Chris Jericho's scarf.
No. The best worker in the match is going to be the ref.
Yeah. If it's the one with the biceps. Who's the ref with the big guns? That guy's awesome.
Yeah, or John Cone, because he's just awesome at counting everything. But honestly, like, and you know, knowing WWE, they're gonna have that match have a ref bump, and you know the finish is gonna be dirty because WWE likes doing that with their champions and their top guys, have them win dirty. But you know,
except AJ. You know what the problem with this show is? Well, a problem.
A problem.
First of all, let's talk about Seth Rollins. I don't think he's healthy. I don't think he's recovered fully from the knee injury. Like, I don't know if you guys watch quote-unquote real sports. You know how when a guy blows his knee out, it takes him 2 full years to get back to 100%?
Yep.
Like, the first year after he blows his knee out, he's like 50-50, and then the next season, he's ready to rock and roll.
Yep.
I think that's where we are with Seth Rollins, because
that's what happened with me with my knee injury.
You don't lose a step at 29 or whatever the hell you are. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I don't think he's healthy, so I'm going to give him a little bit of a pass. I'm not going to give him a pass for being the world's worst babyface.
Oh,
God.
I mean, I'm going to give him a pass for having them bring him back as a heel because, God, we got to get Roman Reigns over, so let's turn the guy who's getting cheered against him. Right?
Yeah.
But you know what the problem with this show is? Raw is the exact same show every week.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the repetition.
It starts with an Owens, Jericho, Roman, Seth segment of some sort.
Mm-hmm.
Then we get a New Day segment. Then a women's match. Then a garbage match. Then we get something to do with the cruiserweights. And then we get a main event of Owens, Jericho, Roman, or Seth.
Mm-hmm.
If you go back and look at the Raws, someone did this on the Observer board, so I don't want to claim credit. Every single main event segment of Monday Night Raw since SummerSlam has featured in some form or fashion Owens, Reigns, Seth, Jericho.
Yep.
In some capacity, at least two of those four.
Yep.
I mean, pick a random date. 2 of the 4 there in some capacity.
Yeah.
Sometimes
do
all
we
4.
even put them in the main event over what was easily one of the best women's matches of the year in a title match between Sasha and Charlotte? You have
100%.
them as the main event every single week like that. There's no wonder why people are sick of these guys, because we're seeing the same shit over and over again. Nobody wants to see these repetitive stories. That's the reason why nobody's getting over.
We are seeing the same shit, and it's bad shit.
Yeah.
It'd be one thing if we were seeing the same shit and it was. It'd be one thing if we were saying the same shit and it was AJ Styles.
Yeah,
that's good shit.
Mm-hmm.
This is bad shit. Mm-hmm. This is bad.
Yeah,
and you know what? Seth Rollins is a horrible babyface because he has a punchable face, and so he's the jilted lover babyface. This is what we're doing.
Yeah, I mean, and people say he's a babyface because his moveset is extra flippy and all that stuff. So what? Movesets should not define whether someone has a face or heel alignment, in my view.
No,
and
I'll meet you to a point. I think Neville needs a new finish because I don't want my babyface. I don't want my heel monster doing flippy red arrow. But
I mean, the fact that he got people to boo it last night, or not last night.
The superplex that he did should be his finish, or just a regular, just Brock Lesnar induced throw a guy around.
Yeah.
But 9 times out of 10, you're right. Like if he's a face or a heel, Okada's still doing the Rainmaker.
Yep.
Doesn't matter, as he should.
Yeah.
Like flippy Seth Rollins could be a heel. The problem is he can't be this half-assed babyface.
Shoss is one of those violent finishers I've seen in all of wrestling, and he's technically still a face.
Yeah.
That's a knee to the face. That's a heel move if I ever saw one.
Kevin Steen was package pile driving guys as a heel and as a face.
Yep.
Like the list goes on and on.
It shouldn't be determined by your moves. It should be determined by what character you're best at playing. And Rollins, for better or for worse, whether he's playing the arrogant asshole leader of the Shield or whether he's playing the chicken shit, poster child of the Authority, he was a better heel character. Yeah, his booking may not have been great when he was with the Authority, but it still was a more believable character than, seeking out Triple H for vengeance, avenging angel face. No, that's not Seth Rollins. That's not the Seth Rollins.
You know what? That's the same damn story. We talked about this.
Yep.
It's the same story. Triple H and Seth Rollins is going to be a less good version of the sensational Daniel Bryan Triple H match from 2014.
And I mean, they already tried this once. As soon as the Shield broke up, Roman Reigns was like, I'm coming after you, Triple H. And look what the fuck happened. Worst WrestleMania finish in history. And I will say that even as a fan of Roman Reigns, who fucking cheered like a motherfucker when he speared Stephanie McMahon. Still, the worst finish to WrestleMania that I've ever seen. That was
my friend was there live, and he just texted me, and he goes, everyone is booing.
Mm-hmm.
And he's like, I can hear them turn the music up, and people are just booing louder.
Yeah. I hate it. I freaking hate it, but I'm saving it. I'm saving it. But
this match?
Going back to Seth.
You know what the thing with this match is, though? Chris Jericho is the king of having a match that is good that you then immediately forget right after it happens.
Mm-hmm.
Name me 2 spots in this match except for the pedigree.
There was nothing. But there's nothing to even talk about because it's so fucking forgettable. Because
here's all you need to know about Chris Jericho in 2016. You ready? You sitting down?
Mm-hmm.
He had a bad match with AJ Styles.
Mm-hmm.
You know how hard that is?
Yeah.
That takes effort.
Yeah, you have to actually
work at that.
To be doing poorly to prevent AJ Styles from looking good in a match.
He made AJ Styles look mediocre.
Yeah. At WrestleMania, no less.
Yeah.
Of all places to do that. It's
I'm convinced we're getting AJ Shane at WrestleMania. I'm convinced. I hope I'm wrong. I pray every day that I'm wrong. If we're getting AJ Shane. AJ Shane will be a better match than AJ Jericho will be, and Shane sucks.
I'm actually not convinced that it'll be Shane, but I'm certain whoever it is, like even if they are just a horrible worker, like I wouldn't be surprised if AJ managed to pull I can't even think of anybody else right now, but like Ziggler. Yeah. I wouldn't be surprised if Ziggler pulled out a fucking 4.5-star classic.
No doubt.
At Mania.
No doubt.
And
no doubt.
Yep.
Ziggler, the king of 2.5 star. Wow, he really fucking ragdolled for all of that matches.
Mhm.
I would be shocked if AJ couldn't pull out a good match from Ziggler.
Well, he
That would
already
be
has
better.
pulled out good
He has.
matches with Ziggler.
Yeah, exactly. It would be
match-
better
the
than
ma-
that
the
match
match-
that he had against Jericho.
The match on SmackDown with Corbin and Ziggler was awesome.
Yeah.
Although I attribute a lot of that to Corbin just being fucking amazing.
They made him look
But-
so good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's the other big guy on the.
Maybe we'll get AJ Corbin.
Yeah.
I would love the fuck out of that.
So would I.
Yeah.
Because
Oh my god.
Styles will make him look like $1 million.
Yeah.
You know what?
And
I
would
would
be-
love the fuck out of, even though it's not going to happen. I would love the Styles Triple H match
Mhm.
because Triple H would just throw him around. You know what? Triple H would just throw his ass around, and it would be great.
I'm less convinced on that just because I don't think Triple H has much greatness left in him. At
You
this
got a
point in his career, but
4-star match with Daniel Bryan, and AJ Styles is just as good
Yeah,
as Daniel
that
Bryan.
was,
I take
3 years ago, though.
Yeah.
but 3 years and only 5 matches ago, Triple H had a good match with Dean Ambrose, who's a horrible worker.
I suppose that's true.
I mean, Dean Ambrose, who's regressed, right? Am I right? He's gotten worse.
I mean-
as a professional wrestler
I would say that
than he was 3 years ago.
to some degree, yes, that is true. But I also believe that for that particular match, Dean also decided to, step it up to where he knows he can perform at, and he showed that yes, he is.
Well, that's an
capable of
indictment on
performing
Dean
at that
then.
level. Yeah,
That's
oh
an
yeah, it
indictment
is.
on Dean then.
Absolutely is, and I maintain that for as long as I've watched the friggin' show that Dean can do better and knows he can do better, but for whatever reason he is not. I don't know why, but he's not. But he can. He's perfectly capable of it, and I hope that he will figure out not to rest on his laurels just because he knows he's popular. Because that's actually what I think it is. Is that I think Dean realizes that he's one of the main event players, so he's kind of eased off a little bit because he believes that his popularity will continue regardless of whether he's putting in his best effort or not. And I hope that he stops doing that because people are getting bored of his stuff. But
I hope so.
we've gotten so far off topic. Let me.
You're right.
Yeah,
Reel it in.
Let me. I have to bring it
Because
back because
That's because this match sucked. This match had nothing going
Yeah.
for it.
yeah,
Yeah,
and
it was-
and the Owens interference also. I'm going to come back to this when we get back to the main event. But here's another fucking angle that needs to die. Jericho and Owens as best friends who are breaking up, but suddenly not breaking up. But wait, they are breaking up. Wait, no, they're not breaking up. This is not a fucking soap opera. I know they want to script it like a soap opera, but it's not a soap opera. We don't need this freaking, we're best friends. We're going to be buddy, co-champions, yada, 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 forever. No. I'm done with this. I was done with this 2 months ago when they first started teasing the breakup. Just stop it already. This
High school
angle-
cheerleaders don't have this much friction between one another when they're feuding over I'm your friend or they're your friend or this your friend or that your friend.
Yeah.
These two bicker so much.
Yeah.
It's a waste of two guys who are better on the stick and Owens being better in the ring. It's a waste of the two of them in this angle that in the end is going to go nowhere because is designed strictly and totally for the 19,000th time. Roman Reigns is going to overcome the odds and win the title.
Yep.
I'm going to come back to it when we get to the main event.
Sure.
But
I mean, I think
no!
it also is gonna set up Jericho's departure because they're gonna do that on a random Raw somewhere. Kevin Owens is gonna put Jericho through 50,000 tables and then rip the list in two. That he spent $5,000 laminating.
They should have done that weeks ago.
Weeks
Months
ago.
even.
But they're gonna do it in a couple months instead.
Because,
Also, a little note about
Raw is-
Seth Rollins. He's 30, not 29.
Yeah, let's
My
just know
apologies.
that they're saving it
No.
because Raw is the master program of overkill, and this is your prime example of overkill where this angle has just gone on well past its expiration date.
Sure.
This is the milk that has turned green in Raw's refrigerator, and it's time to dump it down the sink, guys, before it turns into a solid object.
Yeah.
Or at least catapult it out of a cannon at SmackDown to continue that feud.
Ugh.
So, continuing on with the feuds that, well, actually, we had been stuck with a cruiserweight feud that seemed to be going nowhere.
Whatever.
Guy who loves video games, one-ups, power-ups, TJ Perkins, versus guy that sells illicit substances right by a 7-Eleven, Brian Kendrick, and
Hey, we all need a
the
guy like that in our life.
outlandish Rick Swan.
Yes. Again, with the fucking taglines and subtitles. As soon as they announced him as the outlandish Rich Swan, my enjoyment
I died.
of him
I'm dead.
as champion
I'm a ghost.
went down the fucking tubes. I love Rich Swan, but he doesn't need a fucking tagline to get over. He got over the instant he came out of the curtain, the first match of the Cruiserweight Classic, and was dancing. The guy's a fucking star. You don't need to do anything. Let him go out there and do his thing because he is a natural. He connects instantly with the audience. The audience loves him, but they're fucking killing it because they have to beat your head in with a fucking brick about it. It's like,
Yes.
you have to love this guy because he's zany and kooky.
This company doesn't do subtlety.
I don't need you to fucking tell me these things, WWE. I can see what's going on. I like him. Oh, and side note, Rich Swann has not successfully executed a standing 450 since he debuted on Raw. He is not. And that, in and of itself, is fucking criminal.
Would you fill out your bump card for these horrible matches?
It's
So
I can't stand seeing him misused like this because the
He
guy
is horribly misused.
the guy could very easily be the next Daniel Bryan. He has the personality to get over with the crowd. He has the in-ring skill to excite and engage the internet wrestling community.
Yeah.
He has the whole package. But because he's a cruiserweight and because we don't believe the cruiserweights can get over on their own, we're going to give him a zany, kooky character personality and beat it at people's heads in with the fact that we're supposed to like him. No.
No.
Just fucking no. I mean,
This
hello,
company,
Sami Zayn, who is shorter.
This company could fuck up a blowjob.
yeah. I mean, the match was not terrible. I will give them that. The match was not terrible.
It was fine.
It was a good triple threat for.
I don't remember
these
hating it.
three
That's a
guys.
good sign.
Well, because it was only 6 minutes long.
Still.
Yeah.
I wish Jericho Rollins was 6 minutes long.
Yeah. Oh, that would have been great. But I mean, it wasn't terrible. But and the post match with Neville coming out and doing his heel turn and fucking annihilating Perkins and Swan, best part of the show for me. That was my favorite thing. Everything about that was amazing.
That was great.
But just subtlety. Subtlety is not a bad thing.
No, it is to these guys.
WWE needs to learn subtlety is not a bad thing. These guys are perfectly capable of executing strong and relatable and enjoyable characters on either side of the alignment scale without having to be completely over the top, zany, stupid. It's not difficult. It's like, yeah, they may not have done a whole hell of a lot of character work in the indies, but that doesn't mean that they're completely helpless and that they don't know what they're doing. These guys are not idiots. They can do it. Don't fucking you don't need to oversell everything.
Look, professional wrestling is not difficult.
Yeah.
Unless you make it difficult. You guys have the network, right?
Yeah.
I'm assuming
Yes.
you both have the network. You want to watch some great wrestling? Go watch some world class. Go pop on a random episode of 1983 World Class Championship Wrestling from Dallas. It's an hour long. It has probably the Funks and probably has the Von Erichs and the Freebirds, and it's awesome. And you know what? It was one dude in the back saying, "You're gonna win. You're gonna lose. Go out there and make it happen." You didn't have 30. You didn't have 30 goddamn writers and a casting call and a production agency. You had a dude saying, you had Fritz in the back saying, "You know what? Tonight you're going to win in 12 minutes. Okay, go. Get out of my office."
Yep.
And you know what? It's awesome. You know what's great? Old Memphis wrestling. Mid-South is great. Florida Championship Wrestling is fun with Dusty. Crockett in the 80s is awesome. That stuff's on the network. This isn't hard. But these guys, they make it hard. I don't get it.
Because they want to make it something more than what it is.
Because they're embarrassed to be wrestling promoters, and they always have been.
Yeah, I mean, Vince is always
they've made billions of dollars promoting professional wrestling, and it sickens them.
Yeah, Vince has always said we're in the business of making movies or making television shows.
You make shitty movies.
This is fucking horrible.
Stop making shitty movies and start making good professional wrestling.
Yeah.
Because you have so much talent on this roster, and they all deserve better.
Unless it leads to a fantastic character, which is The Miz, which is based on that character of the guy being in movies.
Yes, and he's sensational.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But there's so much. I would even argue that there's more talent on the roster than at any point in the past 10 years.
Yep, lot.
And not just because of the fact that the roster is bigger than it has been.
No, but I'm saying per capita. Let's say per capita.
Yeah, absolutely.
There's more talent on this roster than has been in 10 years, and why is the product so fucking bad?
Mm-hmm.
Yep. I mean, the best thing about this 6-minute segment was, of course, the ending, when an enraged king who's heard one too many elf jokes came out and destroyed everyone.
And it was glorious.
Yeah.
Oh, I won't give in. Oh, I won't give in.
I've never been this invested in a heel. I've never. I mean, and this is coming from a guy who will watch every Authors of Pain squash and cheer the fuck out of every single one. I've never been this invested in a heel. He is
an enema for this division, and it is so needed.
Yeah. This is the shot in the arm that everything about the cruiserweights and 205 Live needed from the get-go, because running bland PJ Perkins versus has-been Brian Kendrick was a bad idea from the start. They needed somebody who was going to be an enjoyable and strong character babyface, which they have in Rich Swann, although they're overdoing it, but I've already addressed that. And they needed a easily dislikable heel, and they have that now in Neville. I'm hoping to God this is a program that they can't possibly fuck up. They're going to find a way to fuck it up.
They're not going. I actually think that they actually aren't going to mess this one up, because Neville is so invested into this character of the evil elfish king who's now suddenly found a kingdom that he can conquer. He's the biggest guy in the room at this point in the cruiserweight division.
Yeah.
Best part of the show. Thank you, Neville chance.
Yeah. Well, that
was amazing.
That confused me a little bit at first, but like going back and thinking about it now I realize this is why they were saying thank you, Neville, because this had just gotten to the point of being bland upon bland upon bland.
Yep.
To the detriment of everybody involved.
This card, by the way, was god awful, but they didn't really have much reason to cheer, so I'm going to give them a pass.
Yeah, it's Pittsburgh.
I mean, I know they have a lot to do in order to get people invested in the rest of the cruiserweight division, because these are people that most casual fans had no idea existed prior to the cruiserweights coming to Raw. But all the same, they needed to get some people involved who people could be invested in from the start. And heel Neville is someone people will be invested in from the start as, oh dear God, I hope that he doesn't murder Rich Swann in the middle of the ring.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the promo that he said, that promo said, "Bring me my crown."
Yeah,
the one on Raw a couple days ago. That was the best promo I've heard him do in ever.
Yeah,
it was awesome.
The end of
he turned the what chance around. It was glorious.
Mm-hmm.
He was awesome. He's so much better as just the Brock Neville than he ever was as
205 Live. I will obliterate them.
Yes,
and I will cheer.
I mean, here you have this angry, muscular elf who's basically a cruise missile.
Yeah.
Just destroying fools.
Yep.
Yeah.
I can't wait.
Yeah, I can't wait for what he's going to be doing next, because here we have a motivated guy who's now, as I said, biggest guy in the room. Only Cedric Alexander is as tall as Neville is.
My only regret is that it took him 3 months to figure it out.
I'm a little hesitant about the fact that they brought up in his interview with Renee Young on Tuesday night on 205 Live that he said here in America everybody wants to cheer for bring up the here in America thing. That gives me a little bit of pause, but other than that, golden. This is great, and if they don't bring that up again, they can't mess with this.
I mean, they've already done us a great service by getting rid of T.J. Perkins, about 50 of T.J. Perkins's lives.
Thank God.
By having them destroy him.
Somebody needs to unplug the game genie.
Yeah, I mean, good performer, horrific gimmick.
And he misses Stokely, by the way.
Yeah,
that needs to be a pickup in 2017. They need to bring Stokely halfway on board.
And Allie. Allie's awesome too.
Oh my God.
Allie's the old. In fact, it's depressing on him. We'll talk about Impact for 5 seconds. The depressing part about Impact is that all the best people on Impact aren't actually wrestlers.
Yeah.
Senior Benjamin, the Drone, Reby, Allie, Maria.
Doubly so for Allie because she actually is a fucking great wrestler as Cherry Bomb in the Indies.
She is, but she's awesome as Allie.
Yeah, the character as Allie plus Cherry Bomb's wrestling skill, that would be a lightning rod for viewership at Impact. But
it's Impact.
But it's Impact, so they're fucking it up. But that's
all right.
the point.
So speaking of women's segments,
good segue.
Once again, we have to talk about. It wasn't until Sasha Banks herself brought this up. I hadn't realized how long this feud had been going. 7 months.
That's
you
just
didn't
the main
realize
roster.
because I did. Oh, I realized it. And let me.
You first. I'm gonna plagiarize myself.
I gotta go back here because those of you who listen to Speaks for Hell in a Cell know the rant I went on after that finish, and I'm gonna do it again because fuck.
I didn't hear it.
Companies.
I didn't hear this rant. I want to hear this rant.
You have to go back and listen to it because I can't do it verbatim. But I'm gonna say this now. Fuck this company and their fucking nepotism because that is the only reason at this point in time why Vince is continuing to do this. Either that or he's just even more creepy than we thought in his love for blondes. But either way, it is fucking painfully obvious at this point that the crowd likes Sasha Banks. The crowd wants Sasha Banks to have a meaningful run with the title. The crowd wants her to be at the top of this division, and the crowd wants her to be a heel. If you don't realize that after watching this feud for the past 7 months, then you're I'm not even going to say it because I'm going to offend people and probably get the website sued. I'm not even going to say what my thought is, but you would have to be the dumbest person ever to not realize that after 7 months of this. And yet, every single time we go to pay-per-view where Sasha's the champ, Charlotte wins again. Because
Unity.
Why? Because why? I don't fucking know anymore other than nepotism.
Okay.
Charlotte Flair.
No.
He is Ric Flair's daughter. We fucking get it. She may be the daughter of the 16-time world champ, but she doesn't need to also be a 16-time world champ by the time she's 35. For the love of fucking God, let somebody else be the star. Let somebody else have a chance to get themselves over. Put somebody else in the title scene. You don't have to have a Flair in the title scene all the goddamn time. Just because Rick had that during his career, you don't need to have that for Charlotte during her career. She deserves a chance to do something with somebody else and to transfer what little heat she has to somebody else, because at this point she's fucking dead over the fact that she just constantly wins and nobody cares anymore about the fact that she's in title matches because everybody assumes that she's eventually just going to get the title back. But she deserves to be in a non-title program where she can be away from the title and give other people a shot at the top spot in the division. And Sasha deserves a chance to show why she is the most beloved performer in that women's division that's not named Bayley. For the love of God, bring back the boss character. Let her be a heel. Let her do what she is naturally amazing at and give somebody else a chance to get over with her and feed off of her heat and thrive off of what she can do. Yeah, I get the fact that she may not be the safest worker in the ring, but for the love of God, people get invested. People care. People obviously want more. And you're just going to waste that? They're just going to fucking ignore all of a year's worth of We Want Sasha chants, a year's worth of Let's Go Sasha chants, a year's worth of Who's the Boss, a year's worth of all of this adoration, complete adoration for the WWE Universe. And it's, nope, Charlotte is going to be the champion, and Charlotte's going to be the focal point of the division, and Charlotte's going to get all of the big attention. Why? Because fuck you. That's why. I'm Vince McMahon, damn it, and you're going to like who I like. No. We are fans for a reason. We have a voice. We want to be heard. We deserve to be heard because we're the ones giving you your fucking money, Vince. And for the love of God, I was never a big Sasha fan in NXT, but I'm a big Sasha fan because I want something different. I want anything different than Sasha wins on TV, Sasha loses on pay-per-view. Something to break that fucking holding pattern because it's a disservice to someone who became the top star of your developmental brand organically and completely through her own hard work. She deserves a reward for her hard work.
I was going to say I like Charlotte, but now I'm worried that Chris is going to come to my house and stab me in the middle of the night. So I like Charlotte. I don't know what to tell you. I mean,
listen, I'm not saying it's a problem if you like Charlotte, but
I like Charlotte.
Oh God, there needs to be some parity. There needs to be some equity.
I have
to be one person all the fucking
I have
time because
massive
Roman Reigns.
problems. I have massive problems with this match. Huge problems with this match. First of all, Iron Man matches generally blow. People rave about Hart Michaels. That match was awful. Awful. Okay. But let's talk about this Iron Man match in particular. The crowd doesn't care for the first 2/3 of the match.
Yeah.
You know why? Because the first 2/3 of the match, there were no falls.
Yeah.
The crowd said to themselves, we haven't had a fall for 20 minutes. We must not be getting one at all. They're going to go to overtime tied 0-0, so why should we care? Right? It wasn't until they started picking up falls that people started to care. Right?
That's not how you're supposed to run an Iron Man.
That's not how you're supposed to run an Iron Man match, but you know what? Again, we live in the world we live in.
And then the face. The face was the one.
Are these people? Okay? The finish of this match.
Oh my God.
God, these people. Imagine this. Let's go to Bizarro Roadblock. Okay? First of all, in an Iron Man match, the face should always be the one chasing because it's Wrestling 101. The face should always be the one chasing.
Yep.
They should never be up any fouls until the end. Imagine this. Instead of going up 2-1, Sasha goes down 2-1 with 6 minutes left. Spends the next 5 minutes frantically trying to even the score as Charlotte plays chicken shit runaway heel. Okay? So as the crowd gets into a fevered pitch, oh my God, will they do it? Will Sasha manage to get to the deciding foul? Will she hit a finisher or a submission or something, right? And Charlotte's playing a role that she's good at, the bullshit chicken shit heel, trying to prevent this from happening. With 1 minute left, Charlotte gets trapped in a bank statement in the middle of the ring. Fights. 3 seconds left, she taps to force overtime. Crowd is excited, right? You can have overtime be the exact same way it was. Overtime was good. I had no problem with overtime in this match. But instead, you had the heel overcome the odds late in the match, and you had the heel fight from behind. Why is the heel forcing a tap out with 2 seconds left as the crowd is counting along? Yeah. You know what this does? This makes Sasha look like a fool.
Yeah. So she couldn't hold out for 2 more seconds or 3 more seconds.
And you know who that doesn't help? Anybody.
Yeah.
You know what happens when you beat a fool? You're a weakling.
Yep.
Remember all those times Triple H cut that promo that I'm the best and strongest and this guy sucks, and it made him look like shit? When
Reign
he
of
beat a
Terror.
guy who sucks.
This is what we are in. We
This
are in
is-
Charlotte's Reign of Terror.
This
Reign
match,
of Terror.
this match helped no one.
It really
This is the third match on the card where the people coming out are in worse spots than the people coming in.
And this is also the third pay-per-view match where Charlotte and Sasha have come out of it both looking worse than they did going in.
Yes.
Because none of the times that they have fought for the title on pay-per-view has the crowd ever been happy with the outcome or invested in the match. Not even at Hell in a Cell when Sasha came back in after being supposedly injured and was a house on fire,
Yeah.
trying to beat Charlotte inside the cell. The crowd lost its steam because they realized, oh no, this is pay-per-view.
Oh, no. We're not having a regular
Charlotte's
wrestling
going to
match.
win. And I mean, them hot-shotting the title back and forth between each other. has
All it
just
does
made
is
the
diminish your
look like
title.
shit.
It just makes the title look like shit.
Yeah.
Ask WCW how that goes.
And all it does also is it not only does it hurt the two of them, but like I said during my Fury stage before, it just kills everybody else in the division because anytime somebody goes against Charlotte for the title, the thought is going to be, oh, even if they win the title, they're going to lose it to Charlotte eventually because it's Charlotte. And that's just the way it goes. That's what they've established here. They've established, instead of being a division where it's competitive and exciting to watch who's going to come out on top, instead we have a division where 2/3, 3/4 of the division is completely irrelevant, and the people on top are also irrelevant because eventually it's always going to be Charlotte. That's what we've established here. It's Charlotte's world, and everybody else is going to eventually just go fuck off. We have, let me see, Alicia Fox, Summer Rae, Emma/Emelina, Dana Brooke, Nia Jax. 5 completely irrelevant performers in terms of the title scene at this point, and 3 main eventers in the form of Sasha Banks, Charlotte, and Bayley, who are basically
And they already
not
hot
even
shot of the
gonna
triple
be-
threat.
They're not even going to be a source of investment for the crowd because the crowd is going to assume that they know the outcome regardless.
And they already hot shot of the triple threat
Yes.
on a Clash of the Champions.
Yeah. So why are we continuing like this? It's like if you really want the women to be valued, send them all to fucking SmackDown and let them be written by competent writers because clearly this is not a investment in women's wrestling. This is an investment in #history when really like them saying we're making history, you're making history within your own company. So who the fuck cares? Because you can decide when to make history whenever the hell you want. You know, this is not a case where we don't know what's going on behind the scenes. We can all, read the fact that wrestling is not real and it's booked and predetermined beforehand. We all know you decide when these things happen. You guys decide when the women get to make history, quote unquote. You guys decide when the women get to have a milestone, when the women get to do the first ever thing that they've gotten to do in the course of the company's history. You guys are the ones who decide that. You decide when you want that to be a thing. It's not significant if you do it like 4 or 5 times in the course of 6 months, where the women are making history for X reason this time, or Y reason this time, or Z reason this time. Okay. We don't care because we know the outcome of the match. We don't care because the performers aren't giving us anything to be invested in. We don't care because half the division is invisible. So fucking what? Thanks, Vince.
This
You
does
ruined
no
some of
one.
your stars.
This does no one any favors.
Mm-hmm.
It's like they're having a contest. How can we make our talented and capable performers less over after 3 hours?
Yep. How can we?
It's like
ruin
someone
people's
dared
image?
them. Someone dared them. How can I dare you to make a show where everyone comes out of it worse than they came in?
Mm-hmm.
And they did it.
They've been doing it. They continue to do it every goddamn week. And every month with every pay-per-view. It's a continuous cycle.
I have just been sitting here just smiling and grinning because I just witnessed one of the top rants that we've had on here.
That was glorious.
It was intelligent. It was competently said, well versed, well said, with very little swearing, actually.
Which is a shock for me, believe me.
Yeah, I mean, just the passion of wanting these people to succeed is very apparent. You can see in our two guests here on this show that this match really aggravated them. There were so many things wrong with this. I mean, why you have Sasha up ahead of Charlotte? Why do you have them do the overtime finish when you should have just had it end at the 30 minutes in regulation?
Everybody's out of it looking worse.
Whoever put this match together should be fired.
Yeah.
Whatever agent, Dean Malenko or Arn Anderson or whoever put this match together, who decided to do it backwards from 150 fucking years of wrestling tradition, should be fired.
It was. I guarantee you, it was Vince. I guarantee you, it was Vince. Because
Meltzer says Vince thought that the crowd would count along louder than they did, which would make it look worse for Sasha.
Yeah, and why you want one of your performers to look worse at the end of a match that's supposed to be quote unquote historic, it blows my mind.
Because Vince, fuck you.
Yeah,
that's why.
And that kind of stuff is why I said at the beginning of my outburst that this is about either nepotism or Vince being a total creep.
I think it's just
there is literally, I've said it before and I'll say it again, there's literally no reason for you to want to make the audience stop cheering for one of your most heavily cheered stars. There's no reason for you to want to do that. It doesn't make any goddamn sense in the world. The whole point of this being a spectacle on free media television and a live venue setting is because you want people invested in your talent and you want people to feel like your talent is worth coming out to see and worth tuning in to see. If you're actively trying to detract from your talent, you're guaranteed to fail.
Yeah,
that's all that there is to it.
Unless you want your brand to be more important than your talent.
Yeah,
and if you do, you're a goddamn moron.
That's kind of what they've been doing for like the last year because they're afraid of anybody jumping away to Hollywood because
or asking for more money.
Yeah, or asking for more money. I mean, to be fair, though, Sasha hasn't really been helping her cause lately. She's been going on those bizarre rants on Twitter and Tumblr. She's proclaiming the 7-month feud when everybody else is sitting in catering.
Well, I mean, she's not the only one. I mean, did you guys see the tweets that Emma and Summer Rae sent out?
Oh, yeah.
Everybody's going on about this. I think at this point in time, because of the fact that it's been so long and so much of the audience is proclaiming their distaste for it. At this point, the talent feels empowered enough to make their own voices heard, and that actually I am 100% okay with, because they at this point, with how absolutely putrid the booking has been and the storylines have been on Raw, the talent needs to speak up for themselves.
Sure, they need to speak up for themselves, but also they need to be a team on this.
Well,
and
yeah.
I'm not, and I mean,
why I think that they're doing this, because they think that they're communicating to each other that we all need to speak up as one voice and say there's a problem with this, because there is. And if creative and writing team is not going to listen to the fans, then they need to have another voice speaking up about this. And I mean, the performers are the only ones left who haven't. So. I mean, why not give it a shot? I mean, I hope it doesn't end out badly for all of them, but at the same time, what other choice do they have? I mean,
the thing is that the women's division has tried to have that voice before, but there's always been some kind of issue. You had the issues with Paige. Before that, the voice in the room was AJ Lee, and we saw that as big of a disaster that was.
Yeah.
And now they've picked Sasha Banks. And I'm not sure that she necessarily has the leadership skills necessary to lead the ship without sinking it.
She's what, 24?
She's 24.
Big burden for a kid. And she's a kid.
She's had a burden on her all of her life. She was homeschooled until she was 13. She's had to raise a a very sick family member, her brother, for years. This is somebody who's in a position where she's not used to being in a position of leadership,
or
and
even just being in the spotlight in general.
in being in the spotlight in general, because she kind of doesn't like being in the spotlight. Same way how Alexa Bliss kind of doesn't like being the mean girl character. You know, the cracks in the armor start to show. And WWE is very good at taking advantage of that, of those insecurities in a person, because these are people who do this for a living. We wouldn't go out there on our stage in our tidy whities and perform in front of a live audience. Okay? That's not us. We're here commentating about professional wrestling. We're sitting behind free avatars and talking about it. You know, we wouldn't go out there physically and do this. There has to be something in you that you want to do that. And that's what my mother has said to me. It's like, these people, they go out there, they do this stuff because they actually want to do this. They crave the attention. You know, that's something that is necessary and needy for them. And
no different from any other, performer.
Any other performer, but the difference is that they're actively throwing each other around.
Yeah.
You know, this isn't like Hollywood acting where it's really, really choreographed. You know, the only exception in that would be the Hong Kong film industry, which is they do legitimate arts, in those films. And this is just a ginormous mess that now has apparently Bailey proclaiming, "I'm the feud now."
Yeah, that was this. There's nothing endearing about this feud, about any of this. I like Charlotte. I like Sasha. I like Bailey. I like them all. I have no interest in watching them wrestle because I just know they're just going to screw it up. And unless they keep the belt on Sasha or on Charlotte and have her lose at Mania and give whoever beats her a nice long 6-month run and shuffle Charlotte back down into the mid card, what good does that do anybody?
It's funny you say that because
I like Charlotte.
Our next performer that I'm going to go insane about has the exact same problem. But
yes,
sure. But here's the thing. How in the world are you going to shuffle a Flair into the mid card? Because I think
that Flair was in the mid card all the time.
Sure, he was, but at the same time, he always kept creeping back up into the main event for whatever reason, because he was.
He never won a world title in his second run in WWE, and he was there for 6 years. So he didn't win very many in the end. I don't know how many he won in the last 5 years he was in WCW.
Well, that goes back to what I was saying about the fact that Rick was always in the main title scene, but they didn't have to. They don't have to continue that tradition. They don't have to continue that style of booking. And that's the problem that I have with Charlotte's booking, is that it's plainly obvious that they're just trying to replicate Rick's career instead of going out on a limb and writing something different and doing something different with her,
because they only know how to tell one story.
Yep.
2 or 3 stories.
Yeah. And there are so many other ways that they could have gone with this. And Charlotte has shown that she has depth of character, that she can do other things. Look at her character in NXT towards the end of her NXT run. She was a face that didn't talk a whole lot, and that was a great character for her to run with. She was letting her work in the ring do the talking for her, and that was some of her best in-ring work of her career, in my view, at least. So if they can do that with her in NXT, why can't we do that with her on the main roster?
I mean, I agree with you, because they have a character there.
Yeah.
The angry grandma. I mean, she comes out into these old looking robes. All that she's missing right now is that green mascara on her face and hair curls and a rolling pin. She needs to be that despicable, not just, Ric Flair-like heel. She needs to just be a true monster heel, where she doesn't have to talk a lot.
Yeah.
She can use her size to her advantage, because she doesn't remind me of Ric Flair, despite what everybody keeps trying to, whatever coat of paint WWE keeps trying to put on.
Yep.
She reminds me heavily of Diesel. You know, even
that's a bridge too far.
Sure. But at the same time, she kind of has had a similar career path to him. You know, as this unstoppable monster. I'm talking in 94 exclusively when it comes to Diesel. He didn't talk a lot. He just rampaged over everybody. It wasn't until 95 when the cracks started to show in his character. When, you know, this talkative guy who could cut a promo but often over-dominated the main event scene. Because he's Kevin Nash. You know. So,
right, main event.
Yeah, we have our main event up last, which is Roman Reigns and Kevin Owens and
why?
Chris.
My God, why?
Why, God, why? Why do we watch this shit? What is wrong with us?
Well, here's what I've been building up to. Why God, why? Version 477,000 of Roman Reigns as a face working underneath, trying to beat the oppressive forces that are keeping him down. You have in front of you the single most dominant looking performer outside of Braun Strowman on this entire roster. A man who is a physical specimen of intimidation. A man who can walk out to the ring, punch anybody that is in that ring in the mouth, and walk out, leaving them flat on their back without having to say a goddamn word and without having to do anything other than that to make people care about him. That's what you have. And what are we doing with him? We're having him work from under. We're having him look like he has to overcome the odds. We're having him look like he is weak and overmatched when nothing about his looks that way. And we've resorted to tethering him to performers that are over in order to make him get over by proxy.
Which hasn't worked.
Ambrose, we've doing it now with Seth Rollins, and it is an absolute nightmare. I've been a fan of Roman Reigns since I started watching wrestling at Survivor Series 2014. I've been a fan of him since I began watching WWE in earnest. And this has reached a point now where I cannot, in good conscience, cheer for him. I can't. I've reached a point where I literally have to stop myself from cheering for him, because cheering for him means that I am, at this point now, supporting and approving of their ungodly misuse of Joanna White.
Do you know what you watch quote unquote real sports, right?
Yeah.
You know what makes Bill Belichick and Greg Popovich and Joe Madden really good at what they do? You don't make some really good elite coaches, Nick Saban, Mike Krzyzewski. You know what makes them really, really good at what they do? They put their players in the best position for them to succeed.
Exactly. You aren't.
Now, I am not.
That.
I am. They are not. Roman Reigns should never say another word ever again, because he's bad at it, and he's not getting good at it anytime soon. And that's on him. I'll be the first to admit it. He needs to take acting classes or something and get better at giving a promo.
Well,
he does.
I can't agree with you on that, because I've heard Roman Reigns give solid and interesting promos that build investment, and that's when he is not making jokes and acting like everything's a barrel of laughs.
Yeah, but you weren't sitting in section 114 when This Is Real Life Chicago happened. That's not jokes or laughs. That's him trying to be off the cuff. Look, let's talk about the difference between Roman Reigns and John Cena. Now, I may be comparing apples to an apple tree, right? You watched SmackDown, right? A couple days ago. Remember when John Cena came out and he tried to do the cheap heat with the Cubs and everyone started booing him?
Yeah.
Okay. John Cena is so great. He said, "Oh yeah," he said he flipped it on and said, "Oh yeah, let's talk about the White Sox. I'll get people to cheer." Right?
Yeah.
Roman
Yeah, but
Reigns
you know
and
what?
Roman
not
Reigns and
scripted into
many
oblivion.
other people. No, he improv'd it.
Yes.
And Roman Reigns and everybody else, and I'll be with a few exceptions, would have said, "Uh-oh, now what do I do? This crowd doesn't like this," and he would have frozen like a deer in the headlights.
Well,
That's what I'm asking. But the issue here with Roman Reigns is that every single main eventer, and I'm talking top of the card, not among the top of the card, top of the card, since Hogan started off as a heel.
Yeah.
Right? Savage was a heel, a singles heel.
Mhm.
Savage was a singles heel.
Yep.
Warrior for a little bit was a singles heel for a
Yep.
minute. Undertaker was a singles heel for a minute.
Uh-huh.
Diesel was a singles heel for a minute.
Uh-huh.
Shawn Michaels absolutely was.
But Roman Reigns hasn't.
Bret Hart was he not?
Yeah.
It was Austin,
Rock,
The Rock,
even
Triple
Cena.
H,
Yeah.
even Cena, even Batista, even Randy Orton. All these guys, when they were singles wrestlers, they got their feet wet as bad guys because it's easier to be a bad guy.
And calling him a heel from the time in the Shield, unfortunately,
No, I mean a
count.
singles bad guy.
Yeah, it
Yeah,
doesn't count.
A
Because he was
singles bad guy.
in a heel stable. I
You know
get
what?
that.
He needs
I get
to
that,
be.
yeah.
He needs to be a brooding, marauding badass.
Yeah, that's what
Yeah.
I've said from the beginning.
Yeah.
The guy can be
But the ship
a
has sailed.
silent killer.
The ship has sailed, though.
Yeah, and that's the problem, is the fact that they have, again,
Can you imagine if
beaten
they've
this to
given
death so hard at this point that nobody can see anything
they've
different.
given him opportunity after opportunity after opportunity? They've used 2 straight WrestleMania main events to try to make the guy.
And the problem with that has been, outside of 2 brief periods, the first being TLC 2015 and the night after, and the second being his feud with AJ Styles from earlier this year.
Where he was
Roman
sensational.
Roman has been, John, like everybody says, John Cena 2.0. The character is the same. It's cut and paste, exactly
Because
the same as what it
only
was.
know how to tell
for
a
Cena.
couple stories.
And that is absolutely a disservice to Roman, and as a character, it's a disservice to Joe Anoa'i as a performer, and it's a disservice to us as the fans for thinking that we don't see that.
Now, see, that's the difference between you and me. I'm willing to go to meet you on the bridge of they have misused this guy, but I am going to give him a little more discredit, blame for his own shortcomings.
You don't think that
Nobody-
a factor in that was because of the fact that he was thrust into the main event scene before he was ready?
He was given the ball. Sure. He was given the ball and told to run with it, and he has stumbled along the way.
Yes,
He has been
absolutely
hurt.
has.
He has been hurt, and he has failed drug tests.
Yeah.
That's no one else's fault.
No, it's not. I'm not going to.
This is
I'm
this
not
is
going to
the,
go against that. No, I
this
agree
is
with
the
you.
perfect storm of failure between the booking and the performance and everything else. It has been a 2.5-year odyssey of how do we get a guy who, by all accounts, should be the future, and how do we screw this up?
Yeah. I agree with you. I absolutely do.
Everybody is to blame here.
It's
The
bad.
booking-
It's bad business.
The
It's
booking,
bad politics.
business. It's bad politics. It's bad booking. It's bad performing.
Mhm.
Everyone has a piece of this pie. Everyone has a finger in this pie.
Yes.
They're all to blame. But you know what? I don't want to talk about Roman Reigns.
This goes back to what I was saying before when I was talking before about the women speaking up for themselves and having a voice here. I am willing to bet everything that I own, every dollar in my bank account, every possession that I have, that Roman Reigns has not at any point during this 2.5-year run at the top gone to Vince or to Kevin Dunn or to the creative team or anybody and said to them, "This is clearly not working. We need to do something else."
Agreed.
I will bet everything that I have on that. And I am also willing to bet that the reason for that is because Roman is afraid, or Joanna Y is afraid that as a performer, if he tries to do that, if he tries to question his boss, that he will lose his spot.
Agreed.
And to have created that type of a work environment for your performers is horrendous in and of itself, and speaks volumes about the terrible nature of employment for WWE. Because if in this type of an environment where you're being relied upon to go out and present a character and put yourself out there in front of an audience for their approval or disapproval, night in and night out, 300 nights a year, when you're being put out there for that and it's clearly not working, you should feel licensed and empowered enough to be able to go to your supervisor or your boss and say, something needs to be done about this that's different, because I'm doing everything that I can do. I've done everything you've asked of me, and it's not working, and it hasn't succeeded to this point. And the fact that Joanna Y has not done that yet, or feels like he is incapable of doing that, that's a major problem. There's no reason that a guy who's supposed to be in the main event should not feel like he has the license to say, I want to do something different. I want to be something different. And I pray that at some point, before he just is far too damaged goods to even be credible anymore within WWE, that he does that. Well, I don't think that it's necessarily impossible at this point. I think that there's one big way. There's one big way, and I've ruminated on this a lot.
Okay.
There's one big way that you can very easily cement Roman and undo a lot of this. If you have Roman face a champion John Cena or a champion AJ Styles who is a face, and lose to either of them, and then turn on them after the match and just annihilate them to the point where they have to be stretchered out and he still is attacking them while they're on the stretcher, to the point where you just show him to be this vindictive, brutally violent person that will annihilate anyone in his path. I think that using that as a heel turn for Roman is at this point the only way. If you put him against a champion who is working as a face, or I mean, even at this point, Styles is so well liked at this point that you could even have him face heel Styles and turn heel on heel Styles after the match and have it be a double turn.
Styles is basically a face at this point.
Either way,
he's saying he's talking like a heel, but the crowd is not treating him like a heel.
Yeah,
in fact, it's funny. Styles is the Bizarro Reigns.
Yeah,
a heel who's treated like a face, whereas Reigns is a face who's treated like a heel.
Yeah. Either of those scenarios, I believe, results eventually in a successful Reigns heel run. But I mean,
they're not doing it. They're pot committed at this point.
At this point, Vince has just decided, nope, this is what we're doing, and I'm gonna go take this to my grave.
And Vince is lucky that the brand sells. Vince is lucky that they make $15 million selling a WrestleMania before a single match is announced.
Yeah.
Right? Vince is lucky that they're going to sell out the Royal Rumble when we only know 2 people in the Royal Rumble.
Yep.
But I don't want to talk about Roman Reigns. And you're right. I'm not arguing with you.
Yeah.
I want to talk about
you have something else.
I want to talk about Kevin Owens.
Yeah.
Okay. Oh, this is going to be fun. Both of these guys.
Kevin Owens.
Yeah.
Because I love Kevin Steen. I wish him nothing but the best. He seems like a good family man who cares about his wife and his son. They seem like good people too. Okay? I am fucking sick and tired of this Kevin Owens character. If you're going to be a heel, be a goddamned heel. Don't half-ass it. Don't do any of this stuff.
Don't just phone it in matches.
A heel. Don't try to get cheap pops. You know, be a heel. Be a bad guy. Look at The Miz. Look at Charlotte. Does Charlotte crack jokes in her matches? No. Does The Miz crack jokes in his matches? No.
Not really.
Do people hate The Miz? Yes.
Yes.
Do people hate Charlotte? Yes. They're doing their jobs. You know what?
They're not hamming it up with the crowd.
They're not hamming it up with the crowd and doing 5-minute chin locks to get cheap pops. Also, you know what, Kevin Owens? You're the damn champ. You should not be comedy. You should not be the second wheel in a comedy act. You're the champ. A little bit of comedy's fine. But right now, you are the second wheel in a bad emo comedy act with your best friend and his scarves and his list.
Wouldn't that technically make him the fifth wheel?
Sure. And you know what? Another thing?
He's about the sixth most important performer in the main event scene right now.
You know what?
He's the goddamn champ.
Another thing? Hit the goddamn treadmill. You're the champ. Look like it. I don't need you to look like Alberto Del Rio or something who's super roided up. But you know what? Have a little bit of self-pride in your appearance, man. You're the champ of a professional wrestling company, and for 150 years, champs have looked a certain way, and it's time for you to as well.
Mm-hmm.
But that's less of a problem than the fact that he just aggravates me. He aggravates me as a professional wrestler. You're doing everything wrong, and you got lucky that you're on the brand where people don't know what the hell they're doing, and they gave you the belt. As a champion, he's a horrible champion.
Mm-hmm.
We didn't think that this would happen when they gave him the belt.
No, but he's gotten worse.
Yeah.
I mean, I can see how furious this is.
What happened to prize fighter Kevin Owens?
Yeah.
Right?
Fight Owens fight.
What happened to the Owens who said, you know what? I'm even okay with the Owens who said, screw all this. I want to feed my family.
What about the Owens
because he gave him a motivation. This whiny, snivelly, I don't know what happened to my best friend, Kevin Owens. How does this help anybody?
This is the guy who betrayed his former best friend and powerbombed him on the apron and put him out of action for 6 months. And
because
now,
he was worried about his spot. Because he was worried about his spot. That Owens had motivation, and that Owens had self-interest. This Owens has nothing. Yeah. This Owens wants to hold on to an empty prop.
Mm-hmm. That has
the prop that is zero value. And you know why it is zero value? Because the red belt has had 2 champions, correct?
Mm-hmm.
Finn Balor for 24 hours and Kevin Owens for 6 months. So if the belt means nothing, it's because the man holding the belt means nothing.
Yeah.
The belt doesn't make the man makes the belt.
And this is a case where you can see the idiotic writing of Raw has just not given him any chance to do something different because of the fact that they were so on the fly with Finn Balor is going to be the champ. Oh shit, he just
he's hurt.
Shoulder.
Oh
what
shit,
the fuck do we do? Comedy Kevin Owens and Chris Jericho, go! And we don't have anything. We don't have anything.
Maybe when he turns on Jericho and turns into a full-blown heel, not sniveling, whining, half-ass, going through the motions heel, we'll get somewhere. Mm-hmm. But this Kevin Owens is the service to the belt. And the belt, I hope Reigns beats him at the Rumble.
Yeah.
I hope he does.
The chorus of boos, and I will hate.
I'll be cheering. I'll be standing there cheering. Booed. I'll be cheering for him. I'll be there in the crowd, right there by the ramp, and I'll be. You know what? When Reigns holds the belt up, and God willing, he does. And I hate Roman Reigns. I am not a Roman Reigns fan at all. But at this point, it's like that old Winston Churchill quote: "If Hitler were to invade hell, I would give praise to the devil in the House of Commons."
Mm-hmm.
And right now, those are my choices. Yeah. And you know what? I'd rather have Roman Reigns because he at least looks like a professional wrestler and he at least gives a damn in the ring. Yeah. Say what you will about Roman Reigns. He doesn't half-ass matches. He doesn't phone it in.
I've had 2 matches.
I've been to house show matches with Roman Reigns where he gave it all. Where where he went through a table against Sheamus. They don't have to do that. It was a house show. You think we would have cared if Roman Reigns didn't go through a table against Sheamus? No. But Roman Reigns, say what you will about him. And I have. He at least has pride in his profession. He at least has pride in himself. And it's more than I can say about Kevin Owens right now.
And Kevin Owens' family, too. We haven't seen him using it as a fucking prop.
No. And I would say Kevin Owens is mailing it in, but that's too much of a cliche. He is a disservice to the company right now in the spot he's in, and he needs to step it up. That's my Kevin Owens rant.
Yeah. No, at this point, this main event, and notice how neither one of us have said a damn thing about the match that actually happened.
The match was
because both of them are
just garbage.
Have been placed into this horrendous situation where nobody wins, and that's what this match was. Even though Owens won, courtesy of Jericho interference, Nobody won at the end of this.
No, we all lost.
You had the comedy duo come out of this as the winners, but getting thrown through tables by Reigns and Rollins, who nobody really wants to cheer for because they recognize the fact that the company is trying to get Reigns over by tethering him to Rollins because the people were cheering for Rollins when he came back. It's the same thing as what they did with Ambrose. It's exactly the same thing as what they did with Ambrose. I can appreciate WWE wanting to utilize their stars that are over to help the rest of their roster, but doing it in such an utterly transparent way by not having any change happen to the guy you're trying to help get over and just saying, oh, he's with this guy now, you should cheer for both of them together, and then when they separate you should still cheer for both of them separately. We're not dumb. We get what you're doing. We can see what you're doing. This whole show is an instance of WWE thinking that the fans are stupid. And we're not stupid.
Nope.
We can see what's going on. We can observe what your attempts and motivations are, what your end game is. And if we don't like it, we're not going to cheer for it. That's why I'm not cheering for Roman Reigns right now, even though I love the guy to death and I think that he could and should be the future of the company. I hate everything that's going on with him, and I'm not cheering for him. I'm not cheering for my favorite wrestler because I don't approve of what WWE is doing with my favorite wrestler.
I hope he beats Kevin Owens, and I hope it leads to the prize fighter Owens. I want that. I want the Owens who beat John Cena on his first night in the company back. I want the Owens who crippled Sami Zayn because it would help him back. I don't want the Owens cutting a promo on Chris Jericho's door.
Yeah.
He's good at it, but it's a waste of his talent. I want the badass marauding. I want the Owens who won multiple Brawler of the Year awards in the Wrestling Observer.
Yeah.
Because he was good at it. I want the Owens who fought Nakamura at the Hammerstein Ballroom.
I want the Owens that came into NXT on his first night and fought through a broken nose and won his match.
That's the Owens I want.
Yeah.
You know what this is like? This is like when you have a kid. I've been told I don't have a kid. And he fails at school, and you're like, man, I expect better from you.
Yeah.
We
all expect better from everybody who's involved in this, and nobody
from Kevin Owens.
Nobody's stepping up.
I don't expect better from Roman Reigns because I haven't seen better from Roman Reigns. I've seen better from Kevin Owens, so I expect better.
But even then, the person who is hating Roman Reigns is cheering for him to
I hope he wins.
Yeah, as you've said before.
Because I hate this version of Kevin Owens that much. Yeah. I hope Roman Reigns, who I also hate, wins. That should tell you all you need to know about this company. Right? I'm flying to San Antonio, and at the Royal Rumble, I will be cheering for Roman Reigns when he hopefully puts Kevin Owens out of his misery and holds the belt. And I'll be the only one there over the age of 10 doing it, and I don't care because I hate this version of Owens that much.
Yeah. You're going down to the airport, you're putting your luggage in, you're spending money on a plane ticket, you're flying down to Texas to this Rumble in the Alamo with a WWE ticket, and you're going to cheer for a guy that you absolutely despise with the power of 1,000 suns.
Yes.
That is what life has thrusted upon you.
Welcome to 2016 as a professional wrestling fan.
Yeah. And that's not okay.
No.
It needs to be said. That is not okay.
No.
The fact that this company thinks that is an acceptable outcome as long as it gets people cheering for the guy that they want at the top, as long as that people think that is okay, that is just an absolute disservice. Everybody involved in WWE and everybody who is a performer for WWE. They are willing to say, damn the torpedoes, full speed ahead, no matter what the consequences. They are going to get people to cheer for Roman Reigns no matter what, even if it damns their other performers. Does nobody see in that company? Does nobody see what a perilously bad business model that is? In no other venue of performance art would that be considered acceptable. There's no other place where that would be considered acceptable.
None.
Anything else, regardless of what it is. Television, movies, video games, I don't care. Name me any venue. I will tell you, if the developers and the people in charge see a problem, they will make changes and adjustments in order to fix the problem. When you have a video game that comes out with issues, write a patch for it. You write a patch for the code and you fix the problem. You don't let it sit there and just say, oh, well, learn to like the game as it is. That's not how it works.
No.
It's not difficult to realize that.
Well, it's how it works when you're the only game in town.
And
If
that goes.
if the only video game producer was Squaresoft,
Yeah.
or Ubisoft or whatever,
Mm-hmm.
but you know what? When you're the only game in town, and marks like us are gonna watch your shit anyways, no matter what.
You know, Kenny Omega's comment the other day, the story that came up on the site, Kenny Omega saying that WWE is trying to corner the market, and I commented on that. I'll reiterate what I said in my comment here. WWE is not necessarily trying to corner the wrestling market, but they are absolutely trying to corner the wrestling media market by forcing their competition into disadvantageous broadcast positions and by capitalizing on the internet as a broadcast platform where other promotions have failed to do so. That is what they are doing right now, and it's working. I'll grant them that. The network is a great thing to have, and they're until Flow Slam came out, they were the only game in town that had something like that, and they've made it with SmackDown's move to Tuesday nights, forcing TNA over to Thursdays, while Ring of Honor and Lucha Underground are stuck in nothing networks on television. They've succeeded in cornering the wrestling media market, but they're not doing anything with it.
No,
they're fucking just sitting out there saying, we're just going to hang our ass in the wind and everybody's going to have to watch it because we're the only game in town and we can just sit on our laurels. That's not how Vince McMahon got to the top. That's not how Vince McMahon got to the position that he's in.
Wait. You're about to say something and finish. I'm sorry. I don't mean to cut you off. Keep going.
No, it's fine. Vince McMahon got to the top for two reasons. One, because WCW was run by idiots. And two, because he took advantage of the fact that he could see the future about where the wrestling media market was going. And he took advantage of that and he capitalized on the advantages that he knew he had. And that's what helped him to win the Monday Night Wars. Those two
Vince
things.
has always been creative when it comes to the presentation of his product.
Yes.
He's the first guy to go national. He realized cable television in the 80s. He realized cable TV is the way to go. And instead of being stuck on rinky-dink syndicated channels, I'm going to go on this medium and I'm going to show my guys to the world and they're going to love it. And I'm going to use slick Hollywood presentation instead of this little bingo hall bullshit, right? He's the first guy to do that. He's the first guy to do pay-per-view. Kind of. Well, not him and Crockett. Vince did the closed caption thing, and Crockett, I think, did direct-to-consumer pay-per-view. But either way, they're two pioneers when it comes to that. I think Starrcade was the first super show and the first one on the pay-per-view, but Vince gets credit for the closed circuitry and using pay-per-view as a medium to force other companies off pay-per-view. When he ran when he ran the first Survivor Series opposite Starrcade and told people to pick one or the other, right? Otherwise, they wouldn't get WrestleMania.
Yeah.
Vince is a genius when it comes to the network. 100% a genius for figuring that out and trying to make it work and realizing that an over-the-top network is the way to go. Okay?
Yeah.
But it needs to be said, all of his best ideas he stole from other people.
Yeah.
He stole Hulk Hogan from Vern Gagne. He stole Randy Savage from Randy Savage's promotion. He stole Ted DiBiase from Mid-South. He stole Junkyard Dog from Mid-South. He stole the Rockers from Continental. He stole the Hearts and all that from Stampede, right? He stole Steve Austin from ECW. He stole the whole concept of the Attitude Era from ECW. Okay? When it is time for him to make his own stars, he fails at it, with the exception of The Rock, who's a once-in-a-generation talent.
Yeah. And John Cena.
Yeah.
And John Cena.
Those are the only two.
If he gets a once-a-decade talent, he's good at it. If he gets anything less than a once-a-decade talent, congrats, you have Triple H, who's fine, but doesn't set the world on fire. And I say this as a guy wearing a Triple H t-shirt right now.
Unless, of course, he actually has the belt, in which case the world gets set on fire with full of fury and rage.
Yes.
Yeah.
But Vince has no one left to steal things from.
Yeah, because that's the scary part about it is that now we have all signs point to all the rumors that come out saying WWE is going into heavy signing mode, and we've already started to see it with them picking up a ton of women from the indie scene.
Yep.
Not a bad thing.
No, not at all. Let them get more money.
I'm very happy to see Kimberly, Heidi Lovelace, Evie, and Nixon Newell coming into NXT, getting more money, putting their art out for a wider audience. Fantastic. But if all you're going to do with those people is have them riding a bench, except for 1 or 2 month long programs every so often, while when you want them to come out and contribute, just so that they are not contributing to your competition, that's people are going to get tired of that.
And he took that strategy from Eric Bischoff. Let's see how that play works, Chris.
Oh yeah, no, I'm that's the thing that, like, if Kenny Omega's right about that, if that's actually what ends up happening, I don't know how I'm going to react to that. I'll tell you right now, it's going to be ugly. It's going to be an ugly reaction from me. You're not going to like that side of me if that comes out, because that's going to just be it will be a guttural response, guttural and ugly.
I mean, this has been just such an interesting show. I don't normally, as most people know, I don't normally talk a lot in these speaks because I like to let the guests talk, and to hear you two talk and to hear you two say all this frustration that has been bottled up inside of you for how long now? How long have you two had these? Is this?
My God, years?
Yeah, I mean, this has definitely been a thing it's been going on all year for me, like
since WrestleMania.
Yeah,
for me, if not more. I mean, specifically. But the thing with me, and I don't mean to cut you off, Fitzy. I like professional wrestling.
Mm-hmm.
I wouldn't care about this if I didn't like professional wrestling. I want this company to be better at their job.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
I want them to, because when they're right, nobody can touch them.
Yeah,
nobody puts on a show like the WWE does. No, when it's a good show. No one does it. No one has the smoke and the mirrors and the bells and the whistles like they do. And they have so much talent. It's like watching your favorite sports team underachieve.
Mm-hmm.
Nobody cares about the Cleveland Browns because they have one win. Everyone knows they're bad.
Mm-hmm.
But you're looking at an NFL team like, I don't know, Detroit.
Cowboys right now.
Detroit,
2 losses.
Detroit, who has talent but doesn't know how to use it. Seattle, who has talent but doesn't know how to use it. Denver. That's where the frustration lies. Yeah. I want this company to be better because I want wrestling to be better.
Yeah, I'll put it in a microcosm terms here. My microcosm view of WWE right now can be encompassed by last year's TLC and the night after in Philadelphia, where for 2 nights they presented Roman Reigns in a character that everybody in the crowd, who 12 months earlier at the Royal Rumble booed him out of the building, and they were on their feet cheering for him by the end of the night when he won the title. They presented a character that the crowd could get behind, the crowd was invested in, the crowd enjoyed. And they knew that they were capable of doing that, and they knew that that was what the crowd reacted to. So what did they decide to do? They scrapped it and went back to what they were doing before, because their insistence, their dead-to-rights insistence upon people liking their stuff in the way that WWE wants it presented is just completely, they're incapable of getting over that. They're incapable of moving away from that. That intransigence of being flexible to do something else. Their inability to decide that something can be different than what their original vision was. Their original vision was Roman Reigns as John Cena 2.0, the character who can be, the face of the company in the ring and still do all the PR stuff outside of the ring and be relatable to the kids and be, a guy that everybody will, on some level, enjoy. It clearly isn't working, but they've been completely obstinate about it. And that is just a microcosm of WWE, because they have been completely inflexible, at least on the Raw side of things, of presenting anything other than their original vision for it. Their original vision for the women's division, their original vision for the tag team, their original vision for the cruiserweights. They have been absolutely inflexible since the beginning of this year, to the point of writing circles around the strengths of their performers and forcing them to play with their weaknesses just so that they can get a certain image over.
Yep.
Because they think that that's what the people want.
They are the masters of the square peg in the round hole.
Yeah. And they're fucking taking a sledgehammer, even to the point where they're destroying the foundation where that round hole is.
And then they wonder why no one gets over.
Yeah. I subscribe.
And they wonder why nobody watches their show except for the hardcores.
I subscribed to New Japan World a couple of weeks ago. I went and watched Wrestle Kingdom 10 and loved the hell out of the show. I am looking forward to watching Wrestle Kingdom 11. Not live, because I'm not staying up from 2 a.m. till 8 a.m. to watch Wrestle Kingdom 11 live when I have to go to work the next day. But I am looking forward to watching Wrestle Kingdom 11 to a great degree. I have nothing but trepidation right now for the Royal Rumble. And when the top promotion in the world causes its fans to be afraid of the results, there's a serious problem there. Yeah. There's a serious problem there. And the company's inability to recognize that, or complete willful ignorance to that, is just mind-boggling to me.
It's terrifying.
I lack the ability to put into words how befuddled that leaves me. And I don't have anything. I don't have anything left to say, because I've said this every single time I've been on Speaks recently. It's just around and around and around we go.
That's it.
Like I said at the top of the show, why God, why? Why God, why are we still going through this cycle of complete madness? And nobody within the company has said, this isn't a good idea. We should do something about this.
Well, you two guys aren't in the company.
Yeah, exactly. And that's...
but they're not dumb. They can't be this dumb.
They're not.
Maybe they are. Their whole life. Their whole lives. Vince has been doing this his whole life.
Maybe that's the problem.
Yeah. I mean, I've said for a long time, you know, the only time that there's going to be changes is if Vince retires or dies.
Will there? When we get Stephanie and Triple H?
I mean, I'd like to believe there could be. I mean, we've seen examples in NXT of Triple H being able to book things in a competent and logical manner.
But we also all three of us know that Triple H is the most insecure man in the history of this business.
Yes.
That actually is a benefit rather than
How so?
a disadvantage. Here's the thing. Vince does not give a single solitary care about what anybody says about him. He's going to press on and do whatever he wants to do from a business perspective, because that business mind of his is like a steel trap. Anybody that gets caught in there, they're done. And nobody has figured out how to take care of that side of Vince. Triple H, on the other hand, is a little more insecure. This guy is a guy that came out of the bodybuilder circuit, wanting to be a professional wrestler for as long as he wanted to. He went to Killer Kowalski's school, trained to be a professional wrestler. This is what he knows how to do, is to be a professional wrestler. Now he's being thrusted into the role of an executive. And while he's done some good things in that executive position, he's now in a situation where he is uncomfortable. And now he has to rely heavily on Stephanie to carry him through the business shark world. Because that Shark Tank is hanging over Triple H's head. And he has to worry about that. Whereas Vince doesn't care whatever other people say about him. You know, he doesn't care at all. Triple H does. Stephanie does. You know, she wants the public perception of her to be as this charging, leading businesswoman, because she is the one person who's the female in a male-dominated industry. you know, they have insecurities. Vince has insecurities, but they're over different things. In the business world, he doesn't care.
Well, because I'm sure in Vince's mind, he's well aware of the fact that he's 70 years old. He's already at the point where he could at any point walk away from this and be comfortable and secure for however long the rest of his life is. I'm sure that in his mind, the only thing that he's thinking at this point is, I can do whatever I want. Nobody's gonna, tell me otherwise, because I've got all the money in the world that I could ever want, and I run the show, and nobody's gonna bother to stand up to me because they know if they do, that they'll get fired.
I have a question for you two.
Yeah.
Yep.
Percentage chance. So I need a number between 1 and 100. With 0 and 100. With 0 being no chance in hell, pun intended, and 100 being stone cold lock. What percentage chance do you think Vince sells the company?
0% chance. I've said for a very long time, I stand by it. Vince intends to take the company with him to his grave, or at the very least go to his grave while still being at the very top. Because if there's one thing that we've established about Vince, is that he's even more of an egomaniac than Triple H is. And I firmly believe that Vince is less concerned about the status of the company itself than he is about his image as being the man in charge of the company. I think that is what he is most concerned with. It comes down to it.
I think if the right offer comes along, he sells.
I give it, if you're
so
asking
25
me,
maybe percent.
I'm giving it like a 3 to 5% chance.
I think
and
if
it's
the right
only
offer, go on.
I mean, if something happens, if one of these things comes crashing down on them, like some major incident happens to them,
Like
they
a
might.
Benoit?
Huh?
Like a Benoit?
No, I'm not sure a Benoit. I think more something larger than that. Like potentially people cracking down on concussions and WWE getting caught in the crossfire about it, because they've already gotten a lawsuit right now. So it has to be something really drastic for Vince to sell the company.
Yeah,
Similar to a position in which the Los Angeles Clippers had to sell.
Okay.
Yeah.
They lose their independent contractor status or something of that nature.
Yeah.
Where their whole business model is affected.
Yes.
Yeah.
Not just PR. Okay.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I think if the right offer comes along, he considers it.
Mm-hmm.
10 years ago, I would have said -0. I would have said -100%.
Mm-hmm.
But I think we're getting to the point where if somebody says Vince will give you $3 billion,
Oh, it'll ask for more.
sure. But I mean, what's the company worth?
Not sure on that one.
I don't know.
Yeah, if the stock market has been in such flux lately that it's hard to say what the exact company's net worth is right now. But I mean, shareholders you have to consider also, like, shareholders, like, in the end, because WWE is a publicly traded company, Vince is also beholden to his shareholders.
Oh, they're not worth a lot at all per wiki. Per wiki, total assets $409 million.
Yeah.
So if someone comes along and says, "I'll give you $2 billion, 5 times your total assets, or 100% control ownership,"
but that also is worth another counterpoint, though, because we got to think about this in terms of WWE now versus WWE 15 years ago. During the heyday of the Attitude Era, when WWE was pulling in 3 million plus viewers a night for Monday Night Raw and for SmackDown, when it was like this gigantic cultural phenomenon, when wrestling beyond WWE, wrestling itself was a giant cultural phenomenon. That at that point in time, that was the best period I think that we'll ever see for the company, because we've reached a point now where wrestling is normalized, for lack of a better term. Wrestling is a standard part of the public eye, and it's something that people are not as mystified by as they used to be. It's now a thing that people acknowledge it exists, and it's easy to say that wrestling fans and wrestling viewers are a certain type of people within society, and it's just viewed as being a statement of fact and is accepted and acknowledged without the novelty behind it. I don't believe that at any point in time WWE is ever going to reach a point again of being worth billions, because that cultural phenomenon that's used to surround wrestling is gone now. It's because it's reached a point of being just an accepted part of society and an accepted part of popular culture. For better or for worse, because of people like The Rock and John Cena, who have gone outside of the wrestling sphere and entered the modern pop culture world and have exposed a large enough portion of the populace to WWE and to wrestling that it is now not this interesting subculture item that it used to be. I don't think that WWE is ever going to be able to reach that level of viewership again, because of the fact that there is no mystery behind it anymore. There is no, interesting image to it. There is no desire to explore that culture and find out why people like watching men and women in underwear throw each other around a ring. People aren't going to be examining it with the intensity that they did 15 years ago. So I don't think that Vince is going to receive an offer that high anymore. It would baffle me if someone came along and said to Vince, I will give you 5 times what your company is worth to take it off your hands. Because A, I don't believe that there is anybody with 5 times the company's worth that would want to put an investment into the company like that. And B, I don't believe that there is a possibility of them getting a good enough return on their investment to make that investment worthwhile. Not anymore.
All it takes was
if this was 2 decades ago, maybe.
Okay.
Not now.
I was just thinking about this because Anthem bought TNA for reasons passing understanding.
Yeah.
And WWE is a hell of a lot better at this than TNA is. So,
But here's the thing. WWE has a lot more chips. They have a lot more things that are a lot more divisions, a lot more things involved in buying that company. TNA has got maybe a truck, a bunch of cameras, wrestling ring, and the contracts of some wrestlers
that they may or may not be paying.
And the other thing about it is this also, because of the fact that TNA is basically like the lower end option for wrestling consumed in a free mass media market, I believe that Anthem is in a uniquely advantageous position right now, because if they take over TNA from Dixie and take Dixie out of the picture, what they can do at that point is they can say, okay, we have a show on a major network and the opportunity to expose people who are talented wrestlers and who can portray good characters to a wider audience than they could ever imagine, and with a greater degree of frequency than they would get from WWE, because WWE has such a bloated and overpopulated roster right now. So I believe that at that point, they could go out and pursue somebody like a Matt Riddle or a Jeff Cobb or even a Joey Ryan, someone who can portray a character that people can enjoy watching and be invested in, and say, we can give you a stage that's bigger than anything you've been on before. Come and be a part of our company, and we're going to treat you right like you would not have been treated under the previous administration in charge of TNA. And I think people will go for that. I think that there's certainly some wrestlers who will go for that and will say, you know what, this is an opportunity to be seen by hundreds of thousands, if not millions of people on TV every week, as opposed to going and wrestling in a VFW hall or in a bar, and the opportunity to get paid a lot more than I would be going wrestling at a VFW hall or a bar.
True.
Why not give it a shot? And I think that there are certainly a lot of people on the indie scene who would jump on that, and that could make TNA a legitimate competitor again for WWE.
I think TNA's brand is too shot.
Maybe so.
Maybe
but it's not impossible for them to rebrand.
It's not impossible for them to
rebrand.
I think they should rebrand regardless.
Mm-hmm.
I think there's too much negative connotation with that brand, with that name. You say TN, I mean, we were just joking about them not paying their wrestlers.
Yeah,
a minute ago. and it's not really a joke because they don't pay their wrestlers, or at least they haven't. So
not like with the frequency that they should be.
No. So anyway, fuck this show.
Yeah. Roadblock End of the Line, aka Why God Why.
Why God Why?
Go die in a fire in the annals of WWE history.
These people deserve better.
Yeah. Everything about this show, with the exception of Neville's heel turn and
the tag match
and the tag match, can just go burn.
Everything about this show,
there's nothing worth. It's not worth.
With the exception of the heel turn tag match, was at best forgettable. At best,
and at worst,
horrifying,
abhorrent.
Yeah,
abhorrent.
At worst, damaging.
Yeah.
The best case scenario was that the wrestlers got out the same they got in. The worst case was that they got out worse.
Yeah. And there were far too many instances of people at the top of their respective divisions coming out worse.
Yeah. Too many. Every main eventer on this show was worse off at 10 p.m. than they were at 7 p.m.
Mm-hmm.
Every main eventer of either gender.
Yeah.
So those are your final thoughts?
Basically, I like I said
dread
before,
the Rumble.
I'm terrified.
I'm excited to go to San Antonio to see a friend of mine, and because it won't be 20 degrees there, and I have tickets to NXT, and at least NXT makes sense.
Yeah.
At least I get to cheer for Nakamura and Asuka.
Mm-hmm.
The Rumble's just going to be.
Well, it's going to be a little.
The only way that
I hope it's like Mania 31, where it's much better than we all thought it was going to be.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm not expecting that.
I mean, there are some ways that this could end up being
I get AJ.
Reasonably enjoyable show. Surprise debuts from Samoa Joe or Nakamura could easily make this a great show. But there's always the perennial but.
Mm-hmm.
There's also an equally large chance that this show is an utter disaster.
Yes. Then again, that'll be fun to watch. I'm sure it was cool to watch the 2015 Royal Rumble in person.
Yeah. The fucking train wreck.
Yeah, I'm sure that's
watching the train wreck unfold. I'm sure that there's some degree of enjoyment to that, but I'll be watching it on the network. Me and my buddies at my friend's house, I'll be watching it on the network more than likely, or in my apartment here in Brooklyn. And regardless of the location, I'm worried that I'm going to end up screaming at whatever screen I'm watching at, asking, why the fuck are you doing what you're doing again? Because that's been the theme for all of the pay-per-views that have involved Raw talent.
Look for the tall dude with the Brock Lesnar hoodie and the giant Shinsuke Nakamura banner.
No, bring a Cageside sign.
I should.
Make up a sign that says
Cageside speaks.
Yeah, Cageside speaks that this show is terrible or something like that.
Yeah.
Or basically just say, why God, why? They'll think you're some kind of Texas religious guy.
Yeah. I should print out your avatar, the little green man.
No,
just put why God, why down on there.
Yeah.
Just those words.
The flip side of the sign says why God, why.
Actually, I know what my sign is going to be. Mm-hmm. It's going to be train wreck, but it'll be as in Roman. Mm-hmm. Train wreck. You know. And then again, I'll be cheering for him over this neutered Kevin Owens.
Sure. Honestly, the Rumble is a nice little surprise. You're going to NXT, you're going to San Antonio, and if the Rumble turns out good, it's great. It's a great surprise.
Exactly. It's not the highlight. The highlight of the trip is hanging out with a friend of mine, and maybe going to Evolve and going to NXT. And the Rumble's good. That'll be cool. And if not, whatever. But
whatever. It's a wrestling holiday.
Exactly. Good way of putting it. Then again, I hope it's good because the Rumble should always be good.
Mm-hmm. So this has been a really interesting show. It's been a show that everybody has had to get something off of their chest, whether it be Enzo Amore's character or Sami Zayn's constant whining or Kevin Owens being Yogi Bear.
Mm-hmm.
This has been a show in which this holiday season that you two guys have had to get rid of so much stuff that was bottling up for like the past year.
Yeah.
And this has been a very, very interesting show. I don't think we've ever had quite this much depth about our thoughts about the company, our thoughts about what the main event should be.
And
And
vitriol about the mistakes that the company has made.
Mhm.
yeah. And as we roll into the new year, this is going to be a very interesting show to see once we get to Speaks Rumble and Speaks take over San Antonio.
Yeah.
And this has been a very fascinating, very long show. We kind of went over the time limit a little bit, but that's okay because these two were such great guests.
Thank you.
You know,
Thank you for letting us have an outlet for our feelings.
Yeah.
and for this new year and for the holiday that has been, thank you so much for tuning in for this edition of Cageside Speaks. We hope you enjoyed this edition of the show.
Thanks for listening, everybody.
Yeah.
Thanks for tuning in. We'll catch you for the end of the year retrospective.
Yeah, the end of the year retrospective is going to be coming up here soon. And also, we are going to have the Rumble and Takeover shows in January. We might have something in between that. Who knows? And this has been 14 Fitzpatrick, wishing you all a happy new year and see you for the next edition of Cageside Speaks on CagesideSeats.com, your one-stop place for all in the world of professional wrestling. Have a good day, ladies and gentlemen. We'll see you next time on Cageside Speaks.